Is that your wallet? Or are you just glad to see me? Both, I hope.
Hello, hello. Good morning, boys and girls. How we doing? Welcome in. Euler, nice and early with a prime there for 11 months. Thank you very much. Can't wait for the cheap vendors. Need these deep dives ASAP. Yeah, as soon as beta launches, as soon as we get some beta action on the go, that might be possible. We do. I tell you what, I kind of know why they didn't put cheap vendors on the alpha. The reality is that with the professions being in such an early stage, it doesn't really make sense because shit wasn't finished yet, you know? It was kind of broken. Like, cheap vendors come in when they want people to, like, level them up, see how the leveling process feels. Is there an absolutely ridiculous amount of one material needed than another to level? Is, you know, that's all the, that's where you need the cheap vendors to be able to poke around and test with that. But yeah, that will come soon. Drizzling Rose, good morning, welcome in. Trying desperately to beat your Mega Bonk score, and I just can't do it, by the way. I keep messing up at like 30 minutes into a run and crying. I was working towards God mode on one build the other day, and then accidentally clicked the portal that took me to the boss, and I was like, oh. 11 days back. After 11 days off work, back to it. Feels bad. Chris, gotta get that cash monies though. Gotta get that cash monies. Make all the cash monies now. Take a week off at launch of midnight or something. I'm actually just I'm doing spring cleaning. I'm doing stuff that I've needed to do for ages and I just haven't. Because we do actually, believe it or not, we have we're kind of in waiting room mode for the beta a little bit here. Whilst I don't have all of my videos and all of my write-ups done, or like first looks of the professions yet, I kind of feel as if I have figured most all of that I need to extract from the alpha. Short of just leveling a character on the alpha from 80 to 90 to see the campaign in the different zones, that is something I do want to do. I'm actually just doing some housework, some tidying up. That's the main thing. And that housework, that tidying up, consists of deleting old characters on old realms, on other accounts, just to get rid of the trash. Make some room for some potential new toons to be leveled, or, you know, just keeping things neat and tidy. I'm your goal in Megabonk. I'm honoured. I don't know if you've noticed what your high score is. It's like 69,000 or something. It couldn't be more. 69,420 kills or something. Genuinely couldn't be more. Couldn't be more internet memey if you tried. Right, what's this character? He's got no gold on hand. He is in a guild. Should we just double check the guild doesn't have 10 billion gold in it? Oh, the guild has got 3 captured June scavengers in it. Okay. Is there anything else in the guild? A shitload of random ass old enchants I don't care about. There's no gold in the guild though. Can you put these in the warbank? They're unique, so I bet you can't put them in a warbank, can you? You can put them in a warbank. Well, let's grab those June scavengers before I lose those. Am I the guild lead? Am I the GM of this guild? Office of off. Oh, I am. I'm the guild master of this guild. Oh, this is my. Oh, I know who these characters are. These are my Shadowlands. These were my Shadowlands Taran Mill guild stuff, which has since been disbanded. Oh, can I not? Can I not put more than one captured June scavenger in the war bank? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Why do those things have to be unique? Why do those things have to be unique? Alright, fine. You can mail them to other toons. Yeah, but they're on random ass fucking servers, which means I can't. Okay, well, my main bank character on Draenor can do with one in order to list it to sell. Like the Alani mount. Yeah, unique items are an absolute pain in the ass. Like, whilst they are often very, very good things to flip, the logistics of dealing with them I just can't be arsed with. Wow, captured June Scavenger. I last sold one of these about a year ago for 128,000 gold. Current going price of these is now about 300,000 gold. Sheesh. Well, I've just found 1,000,000 gold then, which is always nice. Right, you can have one. Let's put another one back in the guild, in the war bank, and then somebody else can have one. I'll just throw them onto 3 different realms and call it a day. BFA bots have shut down, hence the price hike. Well, yeah, probably. Probably. That's at least the guild empty. Let's put another one of those on. No, any ass random realm. I genuinely couldn't care less where it goes. Let's put it on this realm. God, I hope they extend Warbank access Battle.net wide. Having only one account have access to the Warbank is genuinely one of my biggest frustrations every day. You can have one. That must be in a group already, right? Yeah, mounts. What are my listing prices on these? 356 minimum, 1.2 mil if I'm the only one listing it. That'll be fun to see. We sell one of those at 1.2 mil. You could go down to one account. Ah, you're playing my game there. That's not fair. I see what you're doing there. Oh, all my auctions are expiring. All my auctions are expiring. Oh shit, that means I need to relist a bunch of auctions today. How does your own medicine feel? Tastes like Calpol. Sweet. What housing item do you expect to sell well? Housing reagent, I suppose. It'll be things like corium bars, you know, dumb stuff that's annoying to farm and has already been expensive. Primal fires, that sort of stuff. Additionally, anything that has been sort of affected by this new loot drop change. You know, those materials have been rising in price because they're no longer so easy to farm for. On top of the fact that decor will bleed the market dry of them. I suspect it'll be random items like that will go to the moon. Could I tell you exactly what items? No, probably not. I've not looked in that much detail, but anything that's remotely rare and simultaneously annoying to farm will go to the moon. Now, I don't know what all of these enchants are or why they're here. Is there any that is for some reason really valuable, or can I just delete this character? I won't be able to delete this character, will I? Because he's a GM. I should pass this guild over to somebody. Or maybe this character just doesn't get deleted because he's a GM. Random level 49 Beastmaster Hunter. Versus spreadsheet. Yes, yeah, it's a good spreadsheet. I've got that linked in the Discord. Can't delete characters, it's murder. Well, I've been for quite a while now meaning to do a clean out of a bunch of random low-level characters that I don't need. A, to make space to level more, but secondly to... Why do I have a remix tune called Petty Cash in the Jade Forest? Wait, hang on. Okay, this is a character I've never logged on to since Miss Pandaria remix. Okay, well I definitely don't need this one, do I? This is my point, right? I'm finding like strays all over the place and I need to get rid of the strays. Stream Aquarium, raid farm, let's go. Do a student. Yeah, we could do a student. Look, what? Looking for that race, class, or character is log in for that character. What? Is that character just goofed? Oh my god. If you have old MOP remix characters that you've not logged into, you now can't log into them. You now can't log into them because remix is on again and the transfers are disabled. Wow. Well, that's silly. Okay. Can I just straight delete it? Oh, you can straight delete it. That's fine. All right. Commit murder and then sweat out the shame in a local sauna. Local sauna? I have my own. Not converging with the public. Ooh. Get naked in my own room, thanks. That sounds like a really poncy thing, but believe me when I say having your own sauna is not actually that outrageous in Finland. It's like having your own bathroom. It's not that crazy. Wow, a shitload of rune cloth. I wonder what this character was responsible for way back in the day. A way load of cloth. Do I want to do anything with all of this? 12,000 tide spray linen. I mean, it's worth 12,000 gold if I can sell it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to delete this character. Delete. Logistics. Can't be bothered with it. Delete it. Beer and pizza sauna party. Sounds fun. All that linen lost forever. Nah, nobody wants it. It's useless. Nobody wants it. I mean, in theory, I could have used it to make braces to go and then make expulsum, but that's also something I cannot be bothered to do. Guys and girls, if you're really that concerned about tide spray linen, I would imagine there's a fair bit of it on the auction house. Just a hint. Just a hint. Manthy tip of the day. Tip of the day, there's a casual 130,000 of it on the auction house already. Go get it. Go get it. The 12,000 I've just deleted don't make no difference. Although, the irony is that there's only 21,000 before the price is reset. So maybe I shouldn't have deleted it. Oh well. Right, check there's nothing in this character's random bank for any reason. No, deposit some stuff to the war bank. Log them out, delete them. I am so low on liquid gold right now, it's actually scaring me. I've got less than 1 gold cap in my war bank, which is actually bananas. I am so poor in this game right now. I'm at the highest I've ever been. Yeah, it's quite funny. I'm at one of the poorest I've ever been, whilst I'm turning when I turn around and I see everybody else being as rich as they've ever been. It's because I have, since about 7 weeks into season 1, I have refused to do concentration alts, even though they're clearly very lucrative. We'll set them up. We've got the characters from day 1 in going into midnight. So we'll set concentration alts up properly for midnight. I should have done it when we did the big leveling. I should have set them up when we did the big leveling in halfway through the Undermine. 11-1. But the thought of setting up 100 enchanters made me feel ill, so I didn't do it. Right, you're good to delete. I've got 21 teams of level 80 plus all of the bonus level 80s on my main account. So I think I'm somewhere, I think I'm about 95, 98. In fact, with remix alts now, I'm probably over 100 level 80s, which I think is more than enough to satisfy my needs. It's not the biggest alt army anybody has ever seen ever, but it'll do. Oh no! Oh, I've got 119 expulsum on this character. Oh, why have I got 120 expulsum on a random ass character? Oh, that's actually really painful to delete. Because 120 expulsum can go. It's fucking soulbound. Why is this stuff soulbound? I actually have no use for that. I can't possibly do anything with that because the materials are flipping soulbound. Oh, it's gonna have to go though, isn't it? It's gonna have to go. Level the character. That yeah, but the point is I still can't do anything with it. What am I gonna do with that either way? Seems I need the expulsum on one of my main crafters, not on some random ass alt on some random ass skill like some random flipping level 50 wearing benthic gear, for Christ's sake. With a level 36 Heart of Azeroth on. This is clearly an old this is one of my old BFA multi-box characters. Also probably why they've got a lot of expulsum. Because that's how I made Tidespray Linen Bracers and made shit to... Ah, God, that's annoying. Does that mean he also has professions? No, see, he doesn't even have professions. I can't quite remember how he'd have got the expulsum in the first... Right, let's just delete him. Delete it, get it gone. Delete it, get it gone, pretend it doesn't exist. These last two characters are going to be in the same situation as well. You can go to the hub city at midnight with level 80s, or do you need to do intro quests first? Well, you'll need to do the intro quest on your first main character, but then you should just be able to use the portal. If you have to do the intro quest on every character, then there will be absolute uproar from not just goblins, but from literally every man and their dog. So I think it's quite safe to say that you'll just be able to take the portal. This character's safe to delete. First cloth, the Notix boss. This is not a chill stream. Sorry. I usually do this sort of stuff off stream so I don't trigger people, but it was Monday and I was running late, so needs must. Right, last character on the last account, sort of. I haven't cleaned out my actual bank realm. I've got a bunch of level 10 characters that used to be my pet selling characters that have since been replaced with level 80 undermine farmers and flippers. Does this guild have anything in it these days? No. Good. Who is the guild master of this guild? Guild called Gold Capped that has no gold in it. Lol. I think it's one of my paladin that might be the guild master of this guild. Ha! My level 50 Death Knight is the guild master. What a random character to have as the guild master. Okay. Well, at least that character's safe from being deleted because it's on my main account. There's nothing in the guild though. You have nothing in the bank either, so you're once again safe to delete. Delete. What I really wish they would do, actually, by the way, and I might put this as feedback to Blizzard, is that I would really like it if they would allow you to move the categories. You can make, what do they call them, like camps? Are they called camps? I can't remember what the official term is for them, but I really wish you'd be able to move them. You can move characters, but you can't move these categories. And it's really annoying me, because I would like to put sets of 4 characters in different categories and then move the categories about. And I don't think I'm alone in that. When even on one single account, if you have 70 characters, if you've got 70 characters, you might want to put like some into a leveling camp, like some into like, you know, these are rare farming characters, and you might want to move those categories about. I don't know. Yeah, it seems odd that favorites sits at the top, and you can search and you can add a new camp, but you can't then move them around. Brother picked up his puppy yesterday. Going to do some dog sitting later this afternoon. Do it. It's amazing just how many of your family wants to come and visit as soon as you get a puppy. It's kind of crazy. I moved all my toons into camps now. It's harder to see who has mail. Well, the mail icon only works if you're logged on to that realm. So for any character that you, because you can only have one you're still technically logged into a realm. Now, of course, if you have all of your characters on the same realm, then sure, but I don't. I've got characters on literally every single server, but so I can't use this like icon all that reliably anyway. This realm or this account has all my main level 80s. But it also has a shitload of low-level characters I need to go through and delete all of. These were all characters from back in the day that used to flip my pets, but now are not needed because I've replaced them with other characters. maybe I can't be bothered to do these ones today because I'd have to go through and check every single one and make sure they're probably useful characters to keep about. I don't know. Maybe we'll delete them when we really need to. I might need to actually relist some auctions by the looks of things. I think all my auctions have just expired. That might be the next must do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I had 95 level 80s before. So Remix will actually put me at 101 already. We'll still do some more leveling on Remix at some point. I just haven't found a good time. November, actually. Now we are actually in November. November's a weird month. There's lots of stuff coming, but in my opinion, there's not a lot happening. We get beta from the 11th. So there'll be an initial zerg on that. The retail is absolutely dead to me. Like, genuinely. Retail could not be more dead to me if I tried. Obviously, I've got the luxury that I can poke around on alpha until the beta begins. It's going to be scrappy. November's going to be scrappy. We're not going to have much of a... October was easy. It was like, right, Remix and alpha all month. Remix and alpha. We smashed Remix for a couple of weeks, poked around with alpha at the beginning and then at the start. October was organised. November's going to be a mess. Joke's on you, family doesn't want to visit either way. Oh, poor derp. Wow, Percy with a heat. Not surprised. Jesus. 11 out of 12 80s on Remix with the Class Hall campaigns done. 400% XP. Nice. Nice. I still haven't... I'm at like 386 or something. I need to level one more character on Remix to hit 400. And then I need to do my 4 teams that I plan to do. I plan to have 4 teams on each one of these accounts. So that going into... Basically so that I can go into midnight with my 4 main crafters on my main account who have had their professions min-maxed, optimized forever and a day. Then I want 4 more toons on each of the 4 bonus accounts. So that requires me leveling 16 characters who can then basically be copies of what I have on the main. So that they, you know, I've got one that's got jewel crafting and leatherworking, one that's got enchanting and blacksmithing, one that's got tailoring and inscription, and one that's got alchemy and engineering. I want this setup duplicated on these 4 accounts. And that's how I'm going to play Midnight when it launches. Whatever I will have the same setup on all 5 accounts. And this will give me 5 copies then of every crafting profession. Meaning that I should be able to split off in a few different directions with each profession to cover most things quite quickly. Or even double up on some specs where necessary. You know, I would like to have a prospector, a milling and ink character, a character that requires a lot of processing. I would have said bulk crafting, but maybe not so much looking at tailoring. But characters that can be processing shit or mass crafting things on separate accounts so it doesn't lock up the main account. So we can be playing the game, completing the reps, doing our delves, doing all of the stuff we need to do on the main characters, whilst these 4 accounts can be busy in the background. Now I could use some of the level 80s I've already got and just assign them to those jobs. But these are my flipping toons and these are my undermined farming toons. I don't really want to give them too many tasks when I can quite easily just level some more, hopefully, maybe, possibly. Alloys. I would have also have said alloys, but alloys have had some dramatic simplification. There's now only 3 alloys instead of 4. We don't have the big boy. We don't have the big epic alloy to craft. Secondly, there's no ever burning ignition. So the maths involved in crafting alloys is way more simplistic. And all that means is there's going to be way less profit in it. I'm most likely going to ignore alloys this time round. It was competitive as all hell in the War Within, and that was with, you know, big boy mats like tinderboxes going into them, and you needing to optimize with finishing reagents, which are also cut, by the way. And you also had to make sure you had your ever-burning ignition on. You had to do quite a bit to optimize your alloy build in the War Within. Midnight, it's a piece of piss. It's far too simple, and which will mean there'll just be no gold in it, which is a shame. I haven't done a first look video on blacksmithing, but there is plenty of info. I've done my write up for blacksmithing. The write up is in the guild already. In the Discord. I've got my full blacksmithing write up finished. Did this a few days ago, so you can have a read through that, going into detail of the spec trees and that sort of stuff. Did you figure out where the new tinderboxes come from? No, I haven't yet. There's that one item that I don't really know. Where did I put it? It's probably buried in here somewhere now. Yeah, there's that one item that I don't quite know where it comes from, but is very important. Tormented Tantalum. I haven't figured out where this comes from yet, this thing. I haven't figured out where this comes from, but it's used in a whole bunch of endgame like weapons and armor and stuff. So finding the source for this and figuring this out is quite important. And now obviously we've got loads of time to do this, but it's something that we need to figure out, because it's not a crafted item. It's not an intermediate. It's going to come from somewhere. It's the one thing that feels tinderboxy to me. That it'll come from somewhere by doing something, but we need to find out what that thing is. By spamming some delves. Yeah, testing some delves on the beta would be a good way to try and find out. Or looking through the raid bosses and seeing if there's any raid boss that screams it will drop this. But then the question is that if this is a material that's meant to last the entire expansion, it dropping from a raid boss doesn't seem that likely, because then they'll have to then make it drop again from another raid boss as we go into Season 2, Season 3. So it does feel as if it's going to come from anywhere. It'll come from delves. It could be a, like, nightmare prey, reward or something. There are other options, potentially. But yes, it's used in lots of endgame stuff that I haven't found yet. But yeah, all my Midnight Alpha stuff, which will soon be renamed to Midnight Beta, once Beta has actually launched. But the long-term goal for these channels, for all of the different professions, by the way, some of them are a bit sort of basic right now, but the long-term goal for all of these is for these to be basically free mini guides for the professions that people can use. Should we say a better version of Wowhead? Wow, I might leave some deliberate spelling mistakes in here, just so I will be able to spot if Wowhead comes along and just like copy pastes it all. Not that Wowhead would do that, no, never. But not that Wowhead would plagiarize somebody else's efforts. But yes, this will basically be a better Wowhead for the professions. That's my goal for it, at least, anyway. And then the Goblin Guide to Midnight will be all of the juicy hints and tips and stuff on how to properly utilize the professions once you got them set up. I hope the praise system uses NPC AI from the comp stomp. That would be good. The praise system, I've not looked at it in great detail, but I've seen a couple of people I have seen a couple of people who have taken a look at the prey system, and I've seen some of their sort of feedback from it, and I do have to agree, it feels really undercooked. It feels like a fat nothing burger right now, and I think that's already looking like a bit of a shame. It basically right now feels like a way to just incentivize you to go do more world quests. And I'm like, I don't particularly enjoy doing world quests anyway. Prey kind of feels like, like a bonus objective, fill the bar, but for world quests. And then once you've done it, a dude spawns and you kill the dude. It's kind of it feels like a bit of a cross between just do more world quests and the Nemesis boss, just toned back a bit so most people should be able to do it. I need to take a look at the prey system in a bit of detail myself. But of course, if there's not much goblinry reason to pay attention to it, it might not be much of a priority for me to look at it. But when the beta's out, everybody can poke around and have a look. But I've got to admit, the prey system does look kind of undercooked so far. It needs way more ads if you want it to be Wowhead. True. They'll copy the person who copies you and posts it on Twitter. Well, true. All that. All that. It's an option for those that think the landscape is too easy and want a bit of challenge. True, yeah, this is it. Like, this is it. It doesn't feel like anything that's going to be that impact. It's not going to be like Delves, where it will be something that everybody wants to participate in. It just feels more so like it will be just an optional mode for if world quests are your thing in the first place. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. This wasn't necessarily my plan, but it is something that needs to be done. So I gotta quickly post a bunch of auctions by the looks of things. Because if we don't post shit, we don't sell it. Oh, it's so nice to have all half of these spare characters gone, though. In theory, I should kill rares given the option as well here. I've not killed undermine rares for a long time. We're not farming these Mechanicas very efficiently anymore. Funny you say that though, one of the biggest content thieves I know followed me the other day. I'm expecting to see my spreadsheet copy pasted somewhere with their name at the top of it any day now. It is a thing on the internet, isn't it? Unfortunately. There was a point in time where any screenshot I would take, I used to watermark it and do all of this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, I've been in the game too long to really care anymore. If somebody wants to steal my stuff and claim it's theirs, then so be it. Hopefully I can easily turn around if and as and when I want to and say, "Oi, dickhead, you yoinked that," and then go boom, proof you yoinked it, stop it. But we'll have to see. I don't really mind too much. A lot of the stuff, if I put it out there on the internet in the first place, I expect it to be yoinked. This is why I am not afraid to paywall some stuff. But it's all good either way. Right, let's get... They try that shit, I'll call them out every single time. Do it. Honestly, more than anything else, I'm too lazy. It's for me personally though, it's one of those that like if people want to like clip my stream or even make highlights of videos or anything like that and post it on their own channels, that's the kind of stuff I couldn't care less about. In fact, I openly suggest people to recommend, I'm openly happy for people to do it because I understand how the internet works. You can take clips of the stream and post them on your own channel. Fucking monetize it, do whatever. I don't care. It all funnels back to me eventually. I'd be, you know, I'm kind of half looking for people to do that anyway, so that I don't have to. But then again, yeah, if you make something like a spreadsheet and share it with people, and then they just copy paste it and rename it, then that's bad mojo. That is just straight theft at that point. Right, let's get a few things posted. Make a deep fake of you, tell people to do PvP for gold. Yeah, nobody gonna believe that though. Nobody gonna believe that. Throw some spelling errors in there just in case. Yeah. Yep. We'll just put some white text in one of the fields somewhere. Tie a lucrative skinning item behind the prey system. Possibly. There is 3 versions of the like epic skinning thing. You know, where you bait a big creature out and then skin it. They've gone from just the 1 of those in The War Within to 3 in Midnight. Majestic Fin, Majestic something else, and Majestic something else. They're all Majestic something. Obviously, I've tested a little bit of skinning, but in terms of like baiting creatures out to try and find what and where these epic skins come from, I haven't gone into that much detail yet. For starters, like in the alpha, I would not even assume that it's implemented or working, so I'm not going to spend time trying to test that sort of stuff. But yes, the prey system could quite easily be the source for something like that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. 10 out of 10 doing that right now. Yeah, just white text in like AAZ, you know, box or something. Map makers did that to see if somebody copied it. They just added in made up roads. Yeah, there's lots of sneaky stuff you can do to catch people who are trying to yoink your shit for free. Oh, wait, hang on. This dude doesn't have a... His long boy's not got vendors on it. There we go. Ooh, what do we sell here? Magnificent Jeweler's setting recipe for 40k. Go on. There's no way I bought those for 40k. Well, here's the next question then. How much did I pay for them? Well, I purchased one for 5,000 gold, and I have sold one for 40,000 gold. That'll do. Yoink. Some easy cash money's there. If I don't actually kill rares in the Undermine on that frequent of a basis, I might be tempted to move these characters to somewhere more conspicuous. Although that said, going into Midnight, early in Midnight, they might be assigned a couple of professions each for concentration crafting, which will put them all in the capital city. maybe for season 1, whilst all of that sort of stuff is big business. Season 2, season 3, they can get put back out in the Undermine Farm Mechanicas again. Added a few sneaky messages. Do it. People copying this guide and claiming it for themselves will be hunted down and eaten. It's like, I think it was, it's one of those things that's made into like warning signs and stuff. But what is it, like trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. It's that style of warning, isn't it? Could only go down in Team America though. Concentration crafts are profitable at the start, but I can't be asked to do it if it's more than 5 characters. I don't even do them anymore, burns me out. This is why I'll consider doing it in Season 1, because in Season 1, the money will be there. It'll be lucrative as all hell in Season 1. But much like The War Within, Season 2, Season 3, maybe not so much. And, to be brutally honest, I'm not that convinced that concentration is going to be as gangbuster as it's been in The War Within, simply because I can already see Blizzard being a little bit more careful with making sure that nothing is quite so lucrative. Some of the synergy with, well, I've had this confirmed to me actually, that even though we've gone down to 2 materials, only normal and high quality materials for Midnight, at least as it currently stands, that doesn't actually make much of a difference to the amount of concentration required per craft. Reasons why is hard to explain without you fully knowing exactly how the system works in the first place, but there was a bit of an early concern that normal quality materials give you no skill, no bonus skill, and due to them not giving you any bonus skill, whereas quality 2 mats in The War Within give you a 25% skill bonus, I was sort of concerned that having no skill coming from the materials means you'd be making up a bigger amount of concentration. But I've had it confirmed to me by somebody I trust and by somebody that digs through the game files in great detail, that they've shifted the concentration bands to basically make it so that it feels the same as The War Within. So if you use normal quality mats and concentration, it should be about the same amount of concentration as you use today. So if you can make 3 or 4 items with your concentration today, you'll still be able to make 3 or 4 items in Midnight. But something I would say is half of the numbers within the professions are still to be balanced. So, oh, hello, wife's calling. Please hold. Alright, we're good. Not sure if you are like this, Mathis, but IRL, I'm very much left-leaning in equity-based economics. I'm a diehard get mine, fuck the pause, fully fledged capitalist in WoW. It's well, this is always something that's intrigued me about WoW's economy. That you can get away with absolute murder in WoW, so why wouldn't you? You know, a simulated environment is the place to do it.
Is that your wallet? Or are you just glad to see me? Both, I
You know,
hope.
there are relatively strict rules and regulations IRL to prevent monopolization and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, in WoW, you go for it. You do it. Give it a go. Smash it out. Woo, my man, with a 40 months. Thank you very much. Good morning. My alerts are not going off. I didn't hear my alerts go off. Thank you very much for that. Almost middle-aged. Oh, almost old. Ooh, what do we sound here? An ageless bronze drake. 25k, sure. How many are done with the remix collections? Is it phase 3 on Wednesday? Is it phase 3 on Wednesday? Are we about to have another phase in remix? I'm losing track of shit at the moment. It probably is, isn't it? I heard, is that your wallet? Or are you just glad to see me? Yeah, you guys might be hearing the alerts. I just don't know why I'm not hearing them. My OBS gets screwed up occasionally with the fact that, I mean, it's 50-50 whether my microphone is detected by OBS every morning. So sometimes my alerts, monitoring doesn't work properly for the alerts. I don't know. When do you expect alpha to go beta? Well, beta officially launches. Beta officially launches on the 11th, doesn't it? But there is the possibility that those that have alpha, you know, that I think what Boofy's sort of suggesting there is that at what point does the alpha get the beta build? Now, it might all happen at the same time, or they might convert the alpha to the beta build before the 11th. I don't know. It seems more sensible for them to just leave the alpha build as it is right now, and just update on the 11th when we roll into beta. I don't think we'll get another alpha build particularly, but who knows? We might. Finish the housing item achievements outside of PvP are ready for 11. Oh, have you done all of the you've done all of the big meta achievements and everything then? That's cool. That's going to give you a nice big juicy collection of decor then, day one. I am nowhere near as prepared for that. Not even close. Homebound add-on was really helpful for tracking it. Oh, okay. Is it an add-on or a week or a... Might not be something I do too much of, but I've already sort of said that November's a bit kind of all over the place. November's just November's just a month to do weird things until we get housing in December. Homebound. Turn your scattered achievements into a beautiful checklist with 3D decor images. Oh, that's clever. Sorted by categories, shows you your percentage of them. Ah, interesting. Well, that's something for people to chip away at if they're bored right now. That's quite cool. Might have a look at that at some point. I mean, my perspective is that there's not that much of a rush. I know categorically that housing for me is a bit of a it's a bit of a money making opportunity, but not much else than that. It was fun. It was fun running around with Bear on Friday, actually, having a little look at things, testing out the guild stuff. I do think housing will split the audience a bit. I think it's it will end up a little bit like Marmite. I think it'll be one of those things you either spend all of your day doing, permanently tinkering with your house, moving things about, you know, redecorating, all of that sort of stuff. You'll either spend flipping ages doing it, or give it a month, you just won't care. It really does feel like there's going to be a core audience for housing and decor that's going to be just absolutely mad for it. But then I think it's also going to be one of those things. A lot of people, I don't think there's a single player that won't make their house and have a little bit of a look about. I don't think there's anybody that will just flat out ignore it. I think everybody will be intrigued at the least, but I do think there'll be a honeymoon period, and then you'll have the core audience that just loves it, and then to everybody else, it will just be like, oh, sure. Time sink in the beginning, die out pretty quick. For many, I think it will. And I know for a fact I will fall into that category. I will absolutely, definitely be somebody that tinkers with it at the beginning. But it will quickly just become a collector thing for me, I reckon. Much like your pets, your mounts, that sort of stuff. But there's no doubt that there will be crazy money in it at the beginning. And even if it's not so easy for goblins to hoover up a bunch of that, what I do think will happen is that it will have quite a big effect on like the gold in the economy in general. It's gonna bleed some people dry. As long as at least 10% of people say, I'll just get one of everything and decide later, the gold will flow in my opinion. Well, yeah, that's it. Because one of everything is still a token or two's worth of stuff, right? It's still a big amount of gold that some people will be willing to just spend because 816,000 gold? The fucking hell did I sell on this realm? Oh my. What in the world have I sold on this realm? Phoenix Wishwing. Hello. Hello. Oh my. I'm going to celebrate that with a drink. Yeah. Yeah. Pets don't sell, boys and girls. Pets don't sell. Jesus. Well, that makes up for the fact I bought 3 tokens earlier today at 400k a piece. So I've covered the cost of 2 of those. Somebody paid the real world equivalent of $40 for a single pet. Yoink. Now, the question is did I ever buy that Phoenix Wishwing? I have a sneaky feeling I bought this for 100k, you know. I think I bought one for between 100 and 130k. 815,000 gold. Don't mind if I do. Phoenix Wishwing. Yeah, there we go. I knew I did. 125k I bought that pet for. Yoink. But yeah, you're right. It's an absolute nightmare of a pet to craft up. Big old quest chain, loads of farming, flipping hours and hours of farming. So yeah, somebody that's willing to just swipe the plastic. GG. But yeah, pets don't sell, boys and girls. Don't sell pets. You need kata time walking to be able to make it. When's the next kata time walking? Oh, really? Oh, because you need for the Firelands raid, isn't it, to get going with it? Yeah. Four they've not moved since last December. All crafted, huge time sink. Oof. Well, if you've got 4, for starters, make sure you're listing them on 4 different realms. Because the likelihood of selling 4 on one realm is exponentially less.
I see you.
Logged on to my pet seller, 46k for 12 pets. I mean, selling 12 pets in the first place is good effort. Saw TikTok the other day, somebody telling people to farm GoldenEye because it's 10 minutes and you can make 400k. Sweetie, it's a 1 in 500 drop rate. If you get it in 10 minutes, that's abnormally don't. Yeah. Ask somebody who has been in the game for an unnaturally long amount of time. Clickbait farming videos both humor me and frustrate me at the same time. I mean, sure, if you want to farm up clicks or views on a video, they work incredibly well. But the long-lasting impression it leaves of you as a creator is not great. It's why I've always tried to avoid it. No amount of short-term clicks are worth it, in my opinion. The reason I don't make many YouTube videos, it's scummy. It's like not only expected but encouraged by the algorithm. Well, that's it. I mean, you know, the game's the game at the end of the day on platforms like YouTube. It's why a lot of a lot of my content on YouTube. For starters, there's a lot less content from me on YouTube anymore. That said, the content I do produce is, you know, more information based rather than farm this thing to get rich overnight. Because that's just, I don't know, just doesn't work for me. Your first video, Battered Hill, make millions. Yeah, like I said, yes. You know, I was guilty of it to a degree in my very early days, like most people. But that was 12 years ago. I've learned since then. Only selling the stuff I get naturally. I'm not flipping. Was tired of not selling stuff. So I went with this nice simple string, DB region sale average. Yeah. Yeah, one of the only price sources I really trust these days. Everything else can be heavily manipulated. I mean, DB market is basically useless these days for most people. DB market has very, very, very little use. DB region market can be more reliable on frequently moving things, but gets wildly out of touch on rare items. Welcome in, Jack. Good morning. Cleaning house already. Yeah, we were deleting a few characters that were just getting in the way, making sure that they didn't have any hidden gems on them. And then I accidentally realised I needed to post all my auctions, so we're here now. Whoever wants to flip it, take it off my hands, I don't care. I sell way more often and don't have to deal with restocking as much. Yeah, I mean, the advice I give for people now, like, I think the best way to approach to like farming and, you know, farming and then selling transmog is that if you get lucky and you find something that is considered rare or valuable, you are best off just listing it and selling it, not to somebody who actually wants it, but selling it to a reseller who is somebody that is then willing to sit on it for as long as it takes to sell it properly. And the way you do that is you post it at or below 50% of the regional sale average, and somebody will take that off your hands very quickly. Because I think it's more of a case of, you know, it's the hierarchy, isn't it? You need a substantial amount of people out there spending their time farming the things, and then those people who farm the things, they sell them cheap to the resellers. And then the resellers who already have shitloads of gold and are willing to sit on it and willing to do the auction house, this sort of stuff, right? You need technically fewer of these people. People who are willing to post thousands and thousands of auctions across often tens, if not hundreds of different realms. And don't mind if it takes, you know, 1 million years to sell something back on. In order to do a setup like this, I'd have to buy Midnight and Sub on different accounts. Yeah, each one of these windows is its own separate account. So at the moment, they've all, yes, they're all in the Undermine, so they've all got the War Within, and I have to pay game time 5 times over. And going forward, yes, if you wanted to replicate this, you would probably need to look you'd need to look at buying 5 copies of the game and then game time on top. You don't technically need the War Within or the latest expansion on the separate accounts, but of course you do if you want to get those characters to max level. Baffles me there are so many people who would fall for the simplest scamming schemes, both in-game and IRL. Some people are more susceptible than others, I guess. Time for some shit talking and drama. Hearthstone new premium currency coming in midnight. Fucking wowhead, man. Their clickbait is on another level. That I should also point out. Now I don't know who this is, but the person who writes that article is one of the most egregious ones for clickbait on Wowhead. I don't know who they are, like personally or even not personally. I don't know if they're a content creator. I don't know who they are, but like it's the same person that posts the bullshit about the professions a lot of times. Just completely unsubstantiated claims all over the shop. It's so funny sometimes. Once again, it's mounting up the molehill stuff. I'll be. It's okay. Let me be clear about this. It is good to get your opinion out there about something like this before Blizzard actually physically implements it themselves. The fact that they've made art assets for something does, yes, indicate that they might be looking at doing something with those art assets. But much like the traders tender art assets that were data mined, they never became an actual store purchasable thing. So it's one of those where I would say, yes, it is probably important to get your feelings out there on a system like this before it becomes an actual system. But I wouldn't get your knickers too much in a twist out of it, about it. The same person who didn't proofread his article on the pre-patch splash screen, and it still says in the article that the expansion will launch on or before January the 27th. Every time I see his name, I expect an article I'm going to roll my eyes at. Yeah, it's the same person that claims that Midnight is having only 3 ranks for crafted weapons and armor for professions, and I'm like, no, that's not. It's just factually incorrect, like provably incorrect. It's just absolute top tier dog shit journalism. But I also don't use Wowhead anywhere near as much as I used to. I love Wowhead for its like item database stuff and the fact you can search for any item in the game, and you know you can leave comments against physical items and that sort of stuff. But the news side of things, the blog side of Wowhead, I basically ignore it these days. It's a good syndication of roughly what's happening. Yeah, I actually don't tend to read hardly any of the articles that they put out these days. MMO Champion is far more reliable for like just actual facts. MMO Champion just, you know, they list blue posts, they list stuff that you want to know. They're not trying to clickbait you for ad revenue. I've tried to give flipping Wowhead money, right? I tried to sign up for their premium. I had it once upon a time, my subscription. It's only like $10 a year or something like that. It's basically free, but last time I tried to give them money, their flipping PayPal link just didn't work. So I was like, well, if you don't want my money, I will ad block you. Like, it's quite simple. I tried. I'm only going to try once. If your system doesn't work, then I'll just use ad block. He's in the comments defending his words, even though it's incredibly misleading. 12.0 is the expansion. You're technically correct, but it's not correct in practice. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're leading with something seriously misleading. It's clear and obvious why they're doing it. The thing I don't get, right now, I don't know. I've never wrote articles for Wowhead. Although I know a few people that have. I should just ask them, honestly. But like, to my understanding, the article writers for Wowhead get just paid a flat rate for each article. They don't get any sort of boost or commission or anything based upon the popularity of said articles. Like the guide writers and stuff, I'm quite sure they just get paid a flat fee for doing the article and maybe upkeep on it. So I don't know if that is the case. I don't see what their incentive is to clickbait and be other than I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe they do get paid more or less based on engagement on posts. I don't know. Either way, it's shady as shit, and it's kind of frustrating at times. For some reason, I got indefinite free premium. No idea why I even got that. Nice. What the Christ is that? Indefinite free premium? Go on. GG. Stunningly low quantity of sales, but what I can't complain about is the quality of the sales that we have had. I don't mind selling only one or two things if the things I sell are like 800,000 gold. Could be as simple as in-house rankings of visitors per article. Some people are competitive by nature. Well, the metrics are clearly tracked, aren't they? It's just whether it's whether the writers are incentivized to drive forward with the most popular articles. I can't say this for sure, because I haven't asked the man himself. But I'm quite sure when Samadan stopped doing the weekly economy wrap up, I'm quite sure that was because Wowhead said they didn't want it anymore. More so than Samadan just saying he didn't want to do it anymore. Because if he didn't want to do it anymore, you would have suspected that it had been passed on to somebody else. My suspicion is that it was just canned because it was probably an article that didn't get enough traction for how much Samadan was being paid each week to do it. Regularly run Mythic Plus with a few of the Wowhead employees. The tier's scolding, but I can't share. Just know a lot of people on Wowhead staff have a lot of the same opinions as the player base as a whole. I mean, it's run like a business, isn't it? Business is there to make money, so you can't be surprised when they do things that are designed to make money. It's you know, it's gone past being just that community blog. So yeah, businesses will do business things. I look at it from the perspective of it's very easy. You know, the more businessy kind of stuff that Wowhead does, the less I use their website. So, and if it, you know, if I have that same theory, I'm sure others do as well. By the end, it was basically here's what 3 different people said on Reddit. Oh yeah, I'm not denying Samadan was clearly not really playing the game, nor was he putting a huge amount of effort into the articles. But at the same time, it could have very easily been handed off to somebody in the community that is paying more attention. I'm not trying to skirt around saying I could have done it, even though I could have arguably done it. The reality is I probably wouldn't have done it. Because I could probably, if I wanted to like do a weekly news update for specifically goal making stuff, I already have my own platform in which to be able to do that, which would be far more sensible for me to do it on. I could either turn it into a video or I could do it as a post on my Patreon, for example. You know, I doubt Wowhead would be able to pay me enough to actually be worth me doing, just from a strictly monetary side of things. But even if it was to, you know, to keep one of the only things that was like profession and economy focused alive, I would have probably done it if asked. And I'd have probably done it without taking any money to do it. So that, you know, and I'm sure there's many other people in the same boat that would have taken on the responsibility of doing it. So it's what makes me think that Wowhead just came along and were like, no, no, we're canning this article. Doesn't get enough clicks. We're paying too much to publish it. You know, business do business things. Wasn't profitable, can it? Regardless of its usefulness.
I see you.
Paying for Wowhead is wild. I mean, I have no objection paying for the tools I use on a regular and frequent basis. My point is I tried to give Wowhead the $9 a year or whatever they wanted, and their payment portal was so shit it didn't let me. So, well, I tried. I think it should have been handed off way before it got canned. From what I've heard, they couldn't find somebody willing to write it in its place that wouldn't have been polarizing. I can confirm I was never asked. And like I said, if it was the option of having it die completely, if it was the option of having it die completely, or me have to take an hour out of my week each week to do it, I'd have probably done it. But then again, I also know that within the little bubble of goal making, I'm quite relatively well known these days. But outside of that bubble, I'm still an absolute nobody. But then again, the same scenario. You're not going to get somebody like Student doing it. You're not going to get another big, prominent content creator to do it. This is the thing, because if you try and find another content creator to do it, they don't really have the need to do it, because they already have their own platform of which they could do that on, you know? Still have no clue who the fuck you are. Exactly, yeah. Been here for years, still no idea. I think they were looking at streamers specifically. I don't know why. At the time, outside of Student, I think I was the biggest English-speaking goalmaker streamer, which is telling. Yeah. Yeah, there's historically not many people who do it all that frequently on stream. And the thing is that stream, I mean, I've been in the game long enough now to have seen multiple people come and go. But at the moment, there's when Goldson's not taking time off, I mean, there's we got Elon, we got Goldson, we got K-Chak, we got myself. Obviously Student, because he's very reliable. Of course, he's doing his own thing for the most part. There's a handful of people who do stream quite regularly. The Team NA side of things, Icons doesn't stream as much as he used to. Waiting for you to name somebody with a personality. Jesus. Stephanie woke up and chose fire. Well, Penguin does write for Wowhead, doesn't she? Or at least she did. She did a handful of the profession things going into the War Within. But yeah, I think she's another casualty to just doesn't play the game really anymore. Because for most people, IRL comes along after a small while and beats you with a stick until you can no longer play the game much. She absolutely at least knew what she was talking about. That was one advantage Penguin had. Haven't seen her for over a year. I think she'll quite probably turn up again and do a few bits and pieces at the launch of Midnight, maybe. Like I said, like IRL comes along and slaps you with a stick, and there comes a point where any online persona you have has to take a back seat. I mean, without this sounding like a shameless promo, I'm still only here today mostly due to the support I have on Patreon. Most months, both YouTube and Twitch only sort of account for, you know, kind of hobby kind of level money. But it's the Patreon support that keeps me here long term. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be able to stream as much as I do. Your wife not a sugar mama? No, unfortunately not. I'm not going to lie, Mrs. Manthias is the breadwinner in the house. But we knew that, and we made that decision together when we chose to move here. It's why I stream during the day and not in the evenings, even though the evenings would be much better to stream from a general viewership, because you'd get primetime EU viewership plus, you know, early morning, midday NA viewership. It's kind of the optimal time to stream in the evening. Streaming now, you've got NA night owls and unemployed Europeans, all people that work from home and have me on a second screen. I've always wondered if I switched my schedule to the evenings, what the numbers would do. But I stream during the day because Mrs. Manthias is also working during the day. So it makes sense that we both get the work side of the day done. Then we have the evenings to ourselves. You on screen 5? I'll take screen 5. I'll happily take screen 5. Absolutely no issues with being second screen content for people, or even fifth screen. This used to be the prime time slot because you have basically no else who would split up the viewers, and the world opened back up and everybody went back to work. True, yeah. The COVID era, this was a really good slot. And still, actually, I have a whole bunch of people that claim to have found me during that COVID time. It's kind of crazy how, as a content creator, a global pandemic actually saw there was a big spike in viewership numbers during a global pandemic. But that was the same for Twitch overall, right? Twitch in general had twice as many people viewing it on a daily basis as it does now. I don't think we need another global pandemic, though. Second pandemic to boost those viewer numbers, yeah. This is the time Sea Thrift started going live when she got partner with like just 3 weeks of morning streams. Yeah. Yeah, I've always long said that as an entry level into content creation, doing gold making within World of Warcraft is almost a guaranteed way to get partner on, Twitch and YouTube and stuff pretty quickly. Because there's definitely there's a core interest for it. The audience isn't that big, but there's definitely a core interest for it, and you're not then hyper competing with, MDI level Mythic Pluses or that sort of thing. So you can find your feet quite quickly, I reckon, as long as you're not just a complete moron. Wow. Shockingly low actual amount of sales, but I'm not going to lie, if it wasn't for that one pet sale at like 800k, this would have been a bad 48 hours. Then again, weekend sales are never... Surprisingly, actually, weekend sales are usually kind of poor. Don't know why. I'm quite close to finishing these now. Do we want to jump on the alpha after this? Is anybody interested in some alpha stuff? Maybe have a poke around, see what some level 90 alpha stuff looks like. Or the alternative is I look at leveling a character from sort of 80 to 90, going through the 4 zones maybe. There's actually 2 zones I've not, like Zulaman and Arandir, I think, are 2 zones I've basically not looked at or even visited even once yet. Because they landed during Prime Remix weeks. I make the personality joke and you go for the throat with that comment. Hey, we've got to keep it real around here. I think midnight launch is going to be a fun one though, because the handful of content creators that do goal making streams now, the handful that already do it now will, there in theory is probably always going to be at least one of us online streaming. Plus, they'll quite definitely turn up a new few faces, as always does every expansion. Midnight launch will be quite fun. Might be interesting to see if the likes of Penguin and Zanzaful and some people who are more absent right now show up again. Almost got partner in 2020, then Shadowlands dropped and everybody stopped caring about goal making. You kidding me? Shadowlands was like the goal making expansion. Then again, maybe I'm biased because it was in during Shadowlands when I kicked off the streams again. I hadn't streamed for a fair few years before Shadowlands. That said, keeping the streams interesting during Shadowlands was a challenge. Because the amount of time stood at an auction house was kind of bananas. As a small group, do you also plan around each other's streams as to not poach and instead be able to raid? Not really. Well, I can only speak for myself. I couldn't care. I couldn't care less if there's anybody else on at the same time. And it's not because I'm trying to poach. It's just that these are the hours in the day that work for me. I'm equally not trying to step on anybody else's toes, but these are the hours that work best for me. Like, I'm very thankful for anybody that stops by and says hi, or even just stops by and lurks. I know the bigger you get, the more you will find other streamers of your similar size start to get a bit weird about that sort of thing. And that's actually one of the only downsides of Twitch, believe it or not. The kiss that is the Twitch community is also the same curse, because whilst a lot of streamers, and I think this is a misunderstanding of a lot of streamers, a lot of streamers think that people watching their stream is like their audience, like they claim some sort of ownership over it. But what I've also noticed on Twitch, more so than anywhere else, is that you'll see the same names in like many different streams. So your audience isn't strictly your audience. You can't claim ownership on them. And if you're the kind of person that starts to get pissy that, oh, somebody else is logged on and they're stealing your viewers, well, do better. Like, it's like, there is an element of competitiveness there, yeah, sure, but I think you're being relatively dishonest to yourself more so than anything else if you start getting pissy because somebody else has loaded their stream up. But once again, that's only my take. If you only did legendaries, I'd rather dig my own eyes out with a grapefruit than do that shit. I mean, legendaries pulled everything up though. I mean, even farming, there was basically never a day where you couldn't make 20, 30,000 gold an hour farming in Shadowlands. It was the most lucrative expansion in a long time for just straight farming. There was obviously also then some intermediate crafting stuff, like all of the Crafter's Mark stuff in Shadowlands was very lucrative. And it was also back in the day where if you were to do any sort of multi-realm stuff, you could make an absolute killing on that, because of course it was before the region-wide auction house as well. There was so much potential. There was so much potential in Shadowlands. It kind of made, for a lot of people, it kind of made going into the War Within kind of really underwhelming. Dragonflight, sorry, not the War Within. Another pet sale. Pets don't sell. Another 50k pet sale. Removal of multi-boxing with IS Boxer made me take a hit. It was so big on Twitch in BFA, and then Blizz was like, get fucked. It was. There was a fair few really big, prominent multi-box streamers. The one both you and I are probably thinking of, Peck the Farmer, was one of the big ones on Twitch. Yet there was also very, very, very strong suspicions that they were engaging in some pretty aggressive, pretty aggressive RMT with it. I ultimately, even though yes, I was quite enjoying multi-boxing back in BFA, I also ultimately agree that it had to go. Way more gold in Dragonflight than I did in Shadowlands, thank God for fishing. There's didn't you do an ungodly amount of fishing in the War Within beta? I vaguely remember you saying you'd leveled fishing like 12 times or something. The fishing trainer's active on the alpha as well now, by the way, just saying. If you can put housing down for 5 minutes. Remember getting a token per hour in Shadowland, farming herbs and skinning. Yeah, you could do some wild stuff back then. It's kind of funny how we've gone through some pretty substantial changes in the game in terms of, you know, we had a couple of expansion. I mean, if you go back as far as like WoD, where you had garrisons, the meta back in WoD was have as many characters as you can, spamming out garrison shit every day. So, alt army. We then went into Legion, where we had a slightly softer version of basically the same thing. The Order Hall mission table was still pretty lucrative if you were able to bang it out. Now, of course, the further back you go, the less alts that it was kind of viable to have because of leveling speed and stuff. Then we hit BFA, where multi-boxing really hit its, should we say, its prime. That made it significantly easier for people all of a sudden to have a lot of alts. Even though leveling multi-boxing during BFA was a bit of a pain. But the logic still was, the more characters you have, the easier access you have to a bunch of gold. Shadowlands obviously had the mission table. Zanzibar, I think, was a big component in pushing that one. Even though I think one of the videos I did at the beginning of Shadowlands, which ended up being surprisingly one of the most popular videos I think I did in that whole expansion, was me sort of planting the seed with people that the mission tables could be an absolute fucking gold mine if you get on them nice and quick. And credit where credit's due, that wasn't even my own doing. That was a tip-off. They're here now, or at least they have been here already today. Don't know if they want. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. The Euclid in chat was the person that tipped me off that mission tables back in Shadowlands were just busted OP. And by the end of the expansion, it was quite popular for everybody to have 20 different mission tables up and running every day. So yeah, but what I'm basically getting at here is, even though an awful lot has changed in the game, we've had the addition of a region-wide auction house, we've had mission tables be successful, we've had legendaries turn up, we've had a whole bunch of different systems, but the one thing that pretty much unanimously always is an advantage is just having more characters. even farming the soup in Dragonflight for that embellishment thing, I can't remember what it was called, but like pretty much unanimously, if you have a bunch of characters, making gold becomes not trivial, but significantly easier. And I mean, obviously, concentration alt armies have kind of blown this concept up even more. Every Wednesday rotating through 40 alts at the supermarket. Yeah, see? You'd strike gold on that and you'd get something that you could sell for 100k. GG, well played. Done, you know? The War Within Fishing was extremely disappointing. Blizzard did us dirty with the system after ungodly goal making of Dragonflight fishing. Was Dragonflight fishing not super lucrative though, because you could turn fish in for rep? That basically gave their value to the fish nearly the entire expansion. But Team NA got hit with like an outrageous amount of fishing bots during Dragonflight. EU never really had the problem. But I definitely saw Team NA's fishing prices get absolutely slapped because there was fishing bots on the go, like really aggressively. The War Within, though, it was just blood sharks, right? Just flying around looking for blood pools. Kaheti slum sharks or whatever they were called. Oh yeah, these realms don't have a lot on them. In fact, these realms have a lot of nothing on them. Okay. We probably only did $1 million gold on this relist. But that was very, very, very heavily that was heavily held up by that one 800k pet sale, which if I was to take that one pet sale out of the equation, this was actually quite a poor 48 hours of relisting. One miracle sale saved the day. EU had the Zarelek Cavern Druid bots. True. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not that the bots weren't there, it's just they were doing something different. Mainly the cards and the coins, plus the ice fishing. Oh yeah, because of course Dark Moon cards came from fishing, didn't they? Yeah, that was a spanner in the works at the beginning of Dragonflight. Lost a few mil gold on that, I did. Holy. Dumping gold into Inscription to craft Dark Moon cards the first week, then only to find that everybody was getting flipping soggy packs of Dark Moon cards just by fishing. Ah, shit. there was that one in the bin. There was that one in the bin. Okay, I don't think these guys have even had anything listed. Yeah, these guys don't do much flipping. Oh, you've got stuff in the mailbox, though. We should probably take it out. Right. Oh, flip. These guys have... For some reason, the other day, I don't know why or how it happened, 2 of my accounts lost all of their macros. I think my game crashed at some point, and for whatever reason, it nuked the config file that holds all of my macros in for 2 of my accounts. And I'm sure there was a way to roll it back and reinstate them, but I couldn't figure it out. I should have asked ChatGPT, but I didn't. No, second that, I should have just asked Woo. He knows. He fixes all of my problems. Just finished leveling 70 alts to 80 in this remix. I'm not even sure what to prep for midnight anymore. Should I go on another realm? Probably a little bit late to suggest this, but if you are leveling alts on remix, for the love of all that's holy, don't put them all on the same realm. I mean, you absolutely can, but my point with this is that there's a significant advantage for at least leveling one on each realm to begin with. Considering it's cross-realm arbitrage that is a big money maker once you get deep into it. Blood sharks are precisely the issue with it. One fish held all of the value and it was insane to even try and get. Even my low pop RP realms with war mode on had like 20 people farming at all hours of the day for months. Add that to the fact you had to fly between the pools and there was no way to stand still fishing. They should have just used the ice fishing mechanic from Dragonflight for the bloodfish. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another though, isn't it? Like, the reason the slum shark was so valuable is because there wasn't an easy way to automate it. The more friction in a system, the higher the value, the outcome. But the more friction, the more annoying. Like, this is kind of why concentration alt armies have done quite well in this expansion. They're a pain in the ass to set up. They require you having a shitload of alts in the first place. You then have to do the monotonous leveling of professions, God knows how many times. The actual process of running them is also then very boring, but all of those levels of friction mean that if you do it, there's good gold in it. Shit that's easy ends up being zero value, super quick. Super quick. Okay, that's everything relisted. I have a choice now. Do we just jump on alpha for an hour or two? Or do we do some remix? I don't know. What do we do? I mean, alternatively, I could spend some gold. We could hunt down some deals. I think more people would probably be interested in some alpha stuff. Have you ever got into trouble or banned for getting too much gold in a short amount of time? Happened to me at the beginning of the War Within. Now I'm hesitant to open too many mail at once. Opening mail is never going to cause you any problems whatsoever because there's a paper trail to all of it. The only thing that can get you in some sort of trouble is if you are transferred via a trade a large amount of gold for apparently no reason. This is where, like Kachak, for example, who does his gold giveaways every month, has to be quite careful when he whispers people and joins up with people and trades them the gold that they talk to each other, and he like sends a thank you for the giveaway kind of message and stuff to make sure that it's not flagged. Looting your mailbox is never going to cause an issue. During Shadowlands, I was looting 5 million gold a day from my mailbox. No issues whatsoever. Abuse of the economy. Took like 1 week for the ban to get overturned. I'm not in the game of speculating why somebody did or didn't get banned for doing something, really, because it's a rabbit hole that's often not worth going down, but you're certainly not going to get in trouble for looting mail out your mailboxes or selling too much on the auction house. That's definitely not a thing. If you were to get banned for something, it would have been for another reason, not that though. Yeah, we should probably poke around on the alpha. There's actually 2 professions that I still haven't done my write-ups for. I've had a little bit of a look at them. I've got inscription and tailoring that I need to poke around a bit with. Tailoring, I suspect, is actually very, very much like blacksmithing and leatherworking. Inscription might be worth having a good detailed look at, though. My suspicions with Inscription is that they might actually be trying to make Darkmoon cards worth something again, which has two effects. One, it's very good for Inscription, but it also has the knock-on effect of where the Christ do cheap epics for disenchanting come from if they're not going to be Darkmoon cards, which has a lot of knock-on effects to enchanting and other stuff. All right, maybe we close these down then for now. We'll log on the alpha for a bit. Profession's ready on the alpha yet. They're in what I've described as look but don't touch mode. Basically means you can see all of the professions, but the only way you can actually play with them is if you go out and farm your own materials, which for all intensive purposes means that I'm looking at them and I'm not playing with them, because I am absolutely not farming all of my materials for leveling up the professions on the alpha. Absolutely not. This dude has tailoring and inscription. How do keys work in Remix? Same as retail. Yeah, basically exactly the same. Although, be aware that Mythic Plus on Remix is not the same as Mythic Plus on retail. There's absolutely no care given for proper comp or run or like, you know, group composition goes out the window completely. Routes and stuff completely ignored. It's just a complete tank and spank. Yeah, so Midnight Inscription is basically, from what I've seen so far, not that dissimilar to the War Within Inscription. We have more focus being put on the Darkmoon stuff, though. Darkmoon Curiosity now isn't just a section of a tree, it's a whole entire tree all to itself. Now, for them to branch Darkmoon cards out to be an entire tree really makes me think they're not going to make the cards drop like candy from world content like they did in the War Within. They might start making the Ace through till 8 rare world drops that could end up being a little bit more valuable. It depends just how much 2x4 skinning goes on, I suppose, really, but they're definitely looking like they're trying to force people into specializing into the 4 different cards in the first place, and then making you choose, right, are you better at making the actual trinkets, or are you better at making the sigils which create the embellishment that can be attached to any other piece of gear? I don't understand why they're trying to push Darkmoon stuff for 3 expansions now. It was never good. Nobody cares after the first month. Waste of time and resources. The difficulty is that they've not made the Darkmoon cards any good for a couple of years. Soonest they actually... Yeah, the reality with a trinket is that if it doesn't sit on Abyss list, nobody cares, right? And this was what the advantage Darkmoon cards had historically, was that they just were the Abyss trinkets in the first season. Not only were they a huge spike in item level and power for people when they freshly ding max level. Being able to go to the auction house and just buy your BIS trinket was like 80% of the value of the whole thing, right? It's why they were silly money at the beginning, because your BIS trinket, day one of dinging max level, if you're willing to spend the money, was kind of crazy. But then, you know, the second they're not on people's BIS lists, then nobody cares. They have every possibility available to them with the Spark system to make them be best in slot trinkets the entire expansion. You know, you throw next season's Spark into it and hey presto, it could be BIS again. I just don't think they want to make these best in slot trinkets because they make trinkets drop from the raid every season. And they would far more rather incentivize people to go and do their raid to get their BIS trinket. And they always put the trinkets on the end bosses. You know, they use it. They use trinkets as the carrot, a bit of a carrot on a stick from a gearing perspective. So even though the system is there for Dark Moon trinkets to be really good, they just haven't balanced them so that they are really good. It's a balance thing rather than a system thing. I mean, making the ace through till 8, you know, the actual the base cards, you know, drops so very frequently. Was the problem for the War Within, obviously. But of course, they become the disenchanting fodder for enchanting, so they kind of play their part in that way. But I can't help but feel if they're turning it into a whole entire tree rather than just like a section in a tree, they might also then be looking at making them more useful. But this is guesswork, right? Two-handed staves. Sprig shot doesn't have a tooltip yet. Okay, weirdly, a whole bunch of the recipes here are still broken. Contracts are a thing again for the 4 different races. Armani, Blood Elf, Haranir, and the Singularity. So history is repeating itself with contracts. Now, obviously, the difference here is that there is only normal and high quality contracts. 10 rep as to 5 rep. Once again, meaning if you're going to utilize contracts for extra rep, you are going to want a high quality one. This could be I say could be a relatively strong early concentration. In fact, no, it's definitely not. Not if it only uses 2 inks. I was about to say that there could be some strong value in contracts from concentration perspective, but it just doesn't use enough materials. There's only 2 materials here that qualify, like, which means no. These will be high quality contracts will be minimal use of concentration. How the heck is that Dark Moon tree simplified in Blizzard's eyes? What is that? The current pit? Well, they don't have they haven't put icons on these yet, which makes it look a little bit crazy. But this is not really that much different to any of like tailoring or blacksmithing or leatherworkings like armor crafting tree, is it really? In a layer that gives you skill to everything, then you spec into one of the 4 different trinket types. You'd be mental to spec into like the healing one, for example. You'd want to go into the DPS one, whichever that ends up being. But same rules apply. If everybody specs into the same thing, the competition becomes bananas for it. Even with icons, it's not simpler in my books. I really disagree with how Blizzard have simplified professions. Now, I've not made a video on this. My sort of like... My things I like and things I don't like video will probably come when the beta launches, because there'll be a lot more of an audience for it at that period in time. But the way that they've gone about simplifying professions in general, I quite heavily disagree with. Because they haven't specialised the things that I think have actually been complicated. And things where... The spec trees is one area where they absolutely should have homogenized all 4 into one tree, for starters. And secondly, they should have created a system where if you have a recipe, that there needs to be a system or a button or something that is added to where if you are looking at a recipe, you can see, you can press a button and it takes you into your spec tree and it highlights the nodes that will give you an advantage on crafting that thing. Absolutely fundamentally needed to help with simplification of the professions. It's the number one point of confusion for most people, I think, with the crafting professions, that they see this recipe difficulty, they understand that skill comes from here and that skill comes from here and skill comes from the spec trees, but if I want to know, if I want to craft this ink, what nodes do I need to put points in to get better at crafting this ink? Today, the only way you can find that out is by going through each and every one of the trees, reading the tooltips, reading all of the nodes to find out which ones might possibly give you skill towards it. Really time consuming, really confusing for some people.
Both, I hope.
Add on to the fact that you've actually got to level your profession a certain amount before you can even unlock half of these trees, which means you have to make a decision without being able to have any of the information beforehand. Spec trees are and have been a big problem, and for the most part they haven't touched them. They've just copy pasted the same trees in. So I think they could have done a much better job with those, rather than just shaving things out of the profession. Less is not more simple if the stuff that is there foundationally is complicated. So, I don't know. Zim Powell, my man, thank you very much for the 44 though, by the way. Good morning to you, and thank you very much for the continued support. Appreciate that. I was on a bit of a TED talk. I didn't miss it. I thought they were reducing it to 1 mat, no ranks, or still 3-star mats. Well, materials only have 2 qualities now. Normal quality, high quality. Normal quality is basically... normal quality works the same as quality 1 does in retail right now. In terms of that, normal quality doesn't give you any bonus to your skill when crafting things. But obviously you need the materials, you need some materials to craft a thing. High quality materials work the same way that quality 3 materials do in retail today. Meaning that if you use all high quality materials, you get 40% of the recipe difficulty from the materials. So it is like they've just removed quality 2. The easiest way to consider the change is that they've just got rid of quality 2 materials. So yeah, 1 less quality of materials is arguably simpler. But when you think about it really, we basically only had 2 qualities of materials anyway, because nobody used quality 1 material. Quality 1 and quality 2 were basically smushed together throughout most of Dragonflight and the War Within. You know, they both were kind of considered the same. You had quality 3 materials, or you had the other materials. People still only really considered them 2, but that weird thing of having quality 1 and quality 2 materials was apparently something that was worth getting rid of. Why even have quality to begin with? I like the way the quality system, it gives some meaning to crafting, and it does a good job of giving you something to work towards as a crafter. I still find it slightly weird, though, that they have chosen to go with 5 ranks of quality for armor. Still, though. That's an odd one to me. That they took 1 rank of materials away, 1 rank of, like, enchants and potions, commodities, gems, that sort of stuff away. But they've still left 5 ranks of gear. Where... let's be brutally honest here. Nobody cares about anything other than quality 5. Or for the vast majority. There's the odd exception. PvP gear, most PvP players couldn't care less what quality their crafted item comes back to the mass, because in PvP it all boosts up to the same item level anyway. The PvPers couldn't care less about their PvP stuff. Where is it? Yeah, your competitor's gear. PvPers didn't care less about the quality on this stuff, because regardless to what quality it is, it always boosted up to the same item level in arenas and battlegrounds. Betting money on it that this new quality system will confuse the hell out of casual Joe. They barely learnt how the war within quality works. Now it's changing again. This is something... that's a good point. That if you do make a change, you have to... You have to explain what the change is. And that's almost more important than making the change in the first place. There is a strong argument that just leaving it the fuck alone might have been a better way to do it, because people were slowly figuring out what it meant. And if you change how the system works every single patch, that in itself is confusing. The thing that they really need to do, and the thing that we need people to start screaming and shouting about even more so, is that there is still no indication that quality can be done on public orders.
Remember the sun a new Belore Delinar.
There's still no indication that you can put quality on a public order, which is batshit crazy. That we're going to go into the 3rd expansion with this system without them adding that, because there's fundamentally no reason for it to not be a thing anymore. Absolutely no reason for it to not be a thing. What does it say about quality in the appendix bit? The appendix actually, the appendix is a good... It's another good idea implemented poorly. It's a really good idea to put that in the profession, so people come along and they go, "Oh, what do these things mean?" The kind of the implemented poorly bit is it doesn't work any more effectively than just a basic tooltip would have done. So quality can affect items in several ways. Reagents and commodities can either be low quality or high quality, whilst equipment can have 5 levels of quality. Reagent quality makes it easier to hit higher qualities in any craft, whilst higher quality commodities will have more potent effects. Now, none of this isn't true, but none of it's actually really that useful, because it doesn't tell you the specifics. What it should do is tell you how the game works, in my opinion. Which should be that if you use all high quality materials, that is worth up to, or even something simple like the reagent quality can can affect up to 40% of the recipe difficulty. This is something that players like myself know because we've just figured this shit out. But for everybody else, it's like, I don't know how the quality of the materials affects things. I know that if I put high quality materials in here and I put all high quality materials, that 40% of this recipe difficulty will be assigned, you know. So a high quality bright linen bolt in here would instantly give me 40 skill. I know that. Other goblins know that. But it's certainly not very clear to anybody that's, you know, new to the system. And the game doesn't tell... This is the information that I always think the game should tell you. My opinion, that's what tooltips are meant to do, really. Like, I think a tooltip should give you the extra detail that you might need to know about how a thing works. So this appendix is good, because it could tell you that in here. It could tell you that up to 40% of a recipe difficulty can be obtained quickly and easily by using high quality materials. It doesn't tell you that. Same in the quality. It's kind of like giving you some of the information without actually really giving you the information that would be important to know. Equipment with higher item levels. Equipment will have higher item levels with every quality increase, sure. The final quality of a craft will be determined through a combination of skill, reagent quality, specialization bonuses, and recipe difficulty. Yeah, true. But once again, so generic that it doesn't really actually help you. Stories say that crafters have been known to reach beyond their limits by concentrating. This is tooltip fluff again. It's tooltip fluff. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't say anything. I mean, it's guiding you to learn that maybe concentration can help you, but I don't know. In an appendix, I think it should just tell you. Like, don't mess about. Don't use fluffy language. Clear, concise, and detailed needs to be in here, I think. The thing I dislike about Retail WoW is that they remove content with every expansion and even every major patch, including systems and crafting. What was the point of removing half of the Class Hall campaign, for instance, or simplifying stuff on Draenor? I mean, that I wouldn't know. I feel if you don't do crafting all the time, it's pretty punishing, or is that just me getting ranks and unlocking things? Yes, I would have to agree. The crafting is now a system that you do need to keep up with. We've had the same problem for 2 expansions now with this crafting system, which is that if you didn't get ahead of the game in Season 1, it's nearly impossible to catch up. If you don't do crafting in Season 1, because there is always going to be a cost to leveling up your professions. You know, filling this bar has a cost assigned to it. Most of the stuff you have to craft when filling this bar is stuff that you're unlikely... It's probably going to cost you more than you can sell the item for, because everybody goes the same path of least resistance. Everybody logs on to WoW Professions. They follow the same step-by-step, or they look up a Mantheus video. They follow the same step-by-step on how to level, and so everybody ends up making the same things, and then when everybody tries to sell those things, there's way more of those things being created than is actually needed. So in many cases, the cost of filling this bar is just a cost of doing business, right? At least in Season 1, the cost of this bar, you can recuperate a lot of it, because you can then often sell a lot of it, because it's all new and it's all shiny, for most of what it cost you to make it in the first place. Same with your profession tools and accessories. These can be 10, 15,000 gold each. in Season 1. But at least crafting them and getting them done in Season 1 means you have a good chance to also make that gold back. And in best case scenarios, not only do you make enough gold back, but you make a little bit more on top of it for your effort of doing it. We all have experienced that Season 1 is very good for making gold with professions. But the reason Season 2 and Season 3 feels so bad for people is because there's no real significant catch-up for this. And by the time Season 2 comes, the margins and profits on everything are like tiny. And you have to really know what you're doing to extract any value out of it. Which means in Season 2, Season 3, you basically don't touch professions unless you're crazy. Or you really know what you're doing. They added catch-up via patron orders in The War Within, which was a good start. But that's where I think they need to do some improvements as well.
Glory to the sin.
They've only just added items onto the crafting order system on the alpha. So you can now see things on here. They've added most things onto here. But it doesn't appear as if there's any significant change to this system at all. Catch up via patron orders, they were really bad in my opinion for effort, I suppose. I don't know why they limited you to 3 a day. It seems mental that they limited you to only 3 a day. Because three a day is a slap in the face when you open up a spec tree. If you start playing with your professions in Season 2, and you open up a spec tree, and you see that there's a tree here that, like, for you to try and quote-unquote catch up to somebody else, there's what? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 200. There's nearly 300 points on this tree. That means the catch-up system, it would take you 100 days to fill this tree using the catch-up system. It's not a catch-up system, is it? Like, 3 months to technically catch up? It's not... I don't... I'm of the opinion catch-up isn't catch-up if it limits you. I really want to see them do unlimited patron orders until you are caught up to a threshold. Time
is of the
and
essence.
I should also point out the catch-up system for patron orders. The maximum is 3. It actually steps down to 2 and then steps down to only 1 catch-up order the closer you get to caught up. So it starts off bad. As you do catch up, it gets worse. And then as you are close to actually catching up, it's terrible. They already have a catch-up system that works like that with crests. I think much like crests, which I can't really easily show on here, there should just be a seasonal cap.
The eternal sun
I've thought
guides
for a
us.
while now that they should just have a seasonal cap on knowledge points for professions. They should make the cap relatively modest to achieve.
Farewell.
The profession trees, whether it be tailoring or inscription or anything else, there's a 500 to 800 knowledge points. There's a 500 to 800 knowledge points that can be obtained within the professions. I think Season 1 should have like a 200 knowledge point limit, increasing by an extra 200 every season. That would actually also enforce that specializations do feel like you specialize into them. If you know that within a season there's only 200 knowledge points you can get within a profession, you can start deciding where you put your 200 knowledge points that become useful. And then in Season 2, that first 200 knowledge points should be really quick and easy to get. Unlimited patron orders until you've hit 200, so that people can catch up. And then in Season 2, they lift the cap to like 400 knowledge points, which would then allow you to not only be good in one area, but maybe a second area as well. And then in Season 3, lift the cap again to 600 points, where you should be able to fill out most of your tree. But the first 400 should then be, like, super quick and easy to get with unlimited patron orders. That would certainly go to help improving. But I would also like to see all 4 of these spec trees just smushed into one. It doesn't really feel like there's much reason to have them split out into 4. And making you unlock each one at different points actually goes to make them more difficult to use. Have they actually added anywhere? I've not spotted this vendor anywhere, actually. There doesn't seem to be a vendor anywhere that will allow you to reset your knowledge points again. These seem to be equivalent copy-paste NPCs. Okay, this dude has got enchanted crests.
Our enemies will fall.
Okay, so they've clearly copy-pasted NPCs. Because the enchanted crests haven't existed since Season 1 in The War Within. And they chose to get rid of them for good reason.
Baladash,
So he should go away. But there isn't an NPC that allows you to respec your
Baladash Malanore.
knowledge points even.
Hold your head high.
Unless it's one I haven't found. They need to remember to add that in. Or they're running the risk of, like, repeating history. They're running the risk of making the same mistakes. Off topic, but I love British humour. What is this? Okay, I clearly can't watch that on stream. But yes, that's British humour through and through. Warband recipes so that we can switch professions freely without fear of losing our hard-earned recipes. Warband library or something. After you learn a recipe, it gets added so that an alt can study it. Yeah. Things like that would be welcome additions. There's some things you got to be careful of about that, though. We've only just figured out a way to minimize the need for shuffling professions anyway. They would have to be careful to add something in that only repeats the problem. Have they fixed this yet? No. No clip on these stairs. If you walk too far forward, you fall through the earth here. I have reported these things, by the way. I don't spend all my day on stream doing the issue reporter, but I have reported these things, don't you worry. Yeah, it would be nice that if you put time and effort into leveling, gaining knowledge points for tailoring, for example, that if you spin up another tailor, that you at least have access to the same recipes because you've arguably done the job once already. The profession system is one of the only systems in the game that doesn't really have any warband kind of features or functionality attached to it. And I wonder if it's just because the profession revamp happened in Dragonflight, and as far as Blizzard are concerned, it's still very new. And probably not on their priority list to make significant changes to it again, yet. But yeah, we are going into a third expansion with this system now. A second expansion with the warband. It would be really nice if there was more sort of, respect the player, not the character kind of stuff. It's not going to make too much difference for me, though. I'm still going to be leveling 5 copies of every profession across multiple characters, so that I can have a character that is specialised in each of the different directions early on. That's an expensive way of doing things, and is not for the faint of hearted to level up the professions multiple times, but as I mentioned earlier, Season 1's the time to do it. Because Season 1's the time where if you do level up your professions, you stand a good enough chance of covering the cost of leveling up all of those professions and even making a whole bunch of profit at the same time. Meaning then, throughout the rest of the expansion, the work is done for the most part. Look at concentration alts, this expansion. Setting them up was very time consuming. Setting up 20 enchanters was a pain in the ass, but the players that have done it have then had, or the players that did it in Season 1 have had 2 full seasons of just logging onto that character and making 10,000 gold every other day. And they've had that luxury the entire expansion. And some people have seen their gold absolutely skyrocket because they put all the work in Season 1 when it didn't really cost you anything but time to do it. But because there's no real catch-up with professions, anybody looking to do it in Season 2, Season 3 has had... I mean, does anybody have numbers to this? What's the cost of setting up an enchanting concentration alt today? Not that you're kind of mental to do this now, but it just proves a point. Is it, like 20k, something like that, to level up enchanting now? Whereas it would probably take you 3 or 4 weeks of concentration to pay that back. So you have this kind of like initial cost and then a certain amount of time you have to do it before you break even, before you start making profit. In Season 1, you'd spin up your profession. You'd spend 25k leveling the profession in Season 1. And next week you'd be making profit from it. Like literally your second 1,000 concentration, you'd be in profit. Alt Army is my biggest issue with professions. Logging into another character doing the same thing over and over is boring to me, at least. They gave us a fixed account number of transmutes we could do instead of it being character bound. I would engage with way more professions. I have seen this argument of making just everything profession wise warband, like concentration, for example, making it warbound. I half agree, but I also know that there's consequences to it. The issue is that everything is balanced right now. The cost of everything is sort of balanced with that not being the case. The amount of concentration you have is based upon you having, enough to make 2 or 3 items on that one character. If they made it warband wide, account wide, they would have to also dramatically increase the amount of concentration you had. They'd have to rebalance all of the recipes and stuff. The time to do it is on an expansion launch, but it clearly is not on the cards for midnight because far too much work has already gone into this with the mindset of that players are basically going to do the same as what they did in The War Within. Whereas each and every profession on each and every character is kind of unique. No sharing of progress. You know, your concentration on your character is not only the concentration for that character, but for that profession. So you spin up 2 professions, you have 2,000 concentration. Reality being, it's alt army mode again. It's really alt army mode again for sure. It's just going to be interesting to see how effective it is in the second time round. Because most things usually aren't. Most things that are usually super lucrative in one expansion end up being almost a waste of time in the next expansion. Or at least they are worth significantly less. Look at garrisons in Warlords of Draenor. Absolute money printers. We then go into Legion, and we have the Legion Order Hall table, which was a much toned down version of that. We then have, was it? I mean, we had like the weakest version of it in BFA. I think the BFA table was probably the weakest of them. It weirdly went up again in Shadowlands, but just because how the Shadowlands table worked. They tried to change things with the Shadowlands table, and they made it super lucrative again. But I'm wondering just how they're going to balance things so that... Because you look at some crafts, and I can just look at some crafts at face value and just know that whilst they might feel appealing to use concentration on, they're still going to be pretty useless. Sunfire Silk is a farmed reagent. There will be some difference in value between normal and high quality, especially since tailors are going to be the only ones to farm cloth again. But as we also know, there is, throughout Dragonflight and throughout the War Within, we've also seen that the rare cloth just doesn't have enough usage to consume the supply of it. Which means it gets very cheap very quickly. So the difference between normal and high quality is equally not going to be that great. And then the total quantity of materials used is 8. Once again, it's very low compared to an enchant that can use 70 materials, you know, in today's landscape. There's just not enough materials here for, you know, even if there's a 50 gold premium for the high quality stuff, that's still only 50 times 8. That's still like 400 gold maximum. And if it takes, you know, half your bar of concentration, 400 gold for half your bar of concentration is, your concentration doesn't go very far. That means you're getting 1 gold per point of concentration, which is not exactly very appealing. I don't think people are going to log on every 4 days to make 1,000 gold, you know? And so even though there are some things that look like they could be good candidates for concentration, when you really know how the system works, you can start to realize that, well, hang on, effort has been made to make things not as crazy powerful as they have been in the War Within. Scribes do have profession books, yes. They're here. Scribes do have profession books. It'll be another good place to use the overflow of normal quality inks. Because of course the books themselves don't have any quality. So there's no need to use higher quality mats in them. I feel the opposite. I get overwhelmed by doing too much different stuff. I love that I can just do the same thing 70 times over and make gold. It's just too repetitive for me, though. I always wonder how you're not going insane logging onto the 5th or 20th character on a daily basis. Yeah. It just works for some and it doesn't for others. Do they get a boost to the book in the skill tree? Oh, you mean do scribes get 2 knowledge points? I don't think so, because I'm not actually convinced there's an area that... they're the profession tools. I'm not sure there's a node anywhere that boosts them. This is your spec boost tree. Improve the efficiency of inscription crafts, gaining multi-craft ingenuity, resourcefulness. Learn to craft the treatise book. Learn a sub-spec. Extra reagents saved from resourcefulness. Oh no, there it is. Earn an additional knowledge point when reading the inscription book. So yeah, scribes will still get 2 points from each book. Once you spec into it. It's only 10 points as well. 10 points in Calm Hands. Which, this is going to... This is your stat boosting tree. So everybody's going to put points in this. This is your ingenuity, your resourcefulness, and your multi-craft node. So yeah, everybody's going to put points in this. Are they warbound again? Yes. Bind to warband, yeah. Fill orders for them. Fill orders for them. Put them in the warbank, send them to alts. What's the best way to usually make gold? Go for armor type stuff or flasks, etc. Expansion launch, basically anything works. Basically anything works. You got to do something kind of seriously wrong to not make gold at the start of an expansion. But the flip side of that is that there is also an ungodly amount of gold to be made in farming. So if crafting does feel a little bit too much like hard work, you can basically make 50k an hour just flying around picking up herbs and ore for the first season. Usually without too much issues. Which, if that's enough gold to keep you happy for the rest of the expansion, you know, there's a lot of people that will spend an hour or two a day doing herbing and mining for the first month or two of the expansion, and then basically not have to worry about making gold for the rest of the expansion. As long as you're not trying to, like, buy, you know, week 1 mythic boosts for 10 million gold, you can usually, if you're, you know, relatively... You don't have to be stingy with your gold, but as long as you're not splashing the cash too much, just farming alone can make you serious money at the beginning. Crafting is more about finding that avenue that other people aren't capitalizing on. I really don't think that many things that are going to go on the region-wide auction house are going to be that lucrative this time round. Because the crafting system is now more understood than it ever has been before. And simultaneous to that, not only is it more understood by more people, it's simpler than it has ever been with this system. It's the most simplistic version of the system we've seen in 3 expansions. And now you've got 3 expansions worth of expertise in it from others. Meaning stuff that goes on the region-wide auction house is going to be, you know, zero margin very fast. Very fast. Can you show the jewel crafting profession tree? Hop in the Discord. My overview of jewel crafting is there. I've got a full overview of jewel crafting in the Discord. I've also got my first look of it as well. I got a section of the different spec trees, what they do, what you might want to do. It's in the Midnight Alpha section under jewel crafting. Herbing and mining is very good early on. And I think it'll be really good this time as well, because the focus is going to be getting these moats. Herbing and mining it's going to be, you're not going to care anywhere near as much for the herbs or the ore. Your focus is going to be getting good at getting moats. We're back to Dragonflight when it comes to herbing and mining. We're back to Dragonflight in terms of it's going to be about overloading. It's going to be about getting as many moats as you can. These could be 400 or 500 gold apiece quite easily in the first season. There's 4 different moats. One moat, each moat can be found in each of the 4 zones. So if you want to target farm a moat, you just go to that zone that is home to that moat. And your goal when herbing and mining is going to be to use your overload as often as you can. Use your overload as often as you can, and obviously hunt down the affixed nodes that give moats. Because these things are used in basically every single profession, and they're used all over the place. You've got intermediate reagents using moats. Moats of wild magic going into codified azure woods. Inks don't use moats. But your ciphers, your codified equivalents use moats, 2 different types. Pretty much anything you then craft from that point on. Most endgame crafted stuff is using like 20 moats a piece. This could easily be 10,000 gold of cost just in the moats when things start, popping off. Contracts, each individual contract is using 3 moats, different ones. Each zone is using a different one. And every profession, this is the same with every profession. Every profession is using these moats like absolute crazy. So very much like Dragonflight, herbing and mining, don't worry too much about getting more herbs or ore. Focus more so on getting more moats. That'll be where herbing and mining makes the money. I think I'm about to beat my Megabonk record. I'm at 50k kills and still only 2.4 minutes into the last boss's overtime. That's pretty impressive. I need to do some bonking later. If skinners will have a chance to get the moats, skinning will be the best option in my opinion, as they can hyperspawn mobs. Maybe skinners do. They have a thing they can place down, or a thing they can use. It costs moats to make it, but if it ends up being, if there ends up being hyper spawning, skinning stuff. Maybe, possibly. I've looked at skinning, but not in great detail. Obviously, materials are still to be balanced on a lot of crafts, but the indication is from all angles that lots of moats will be used. Single moat in each one of these, yeah. Moats, moats, moats everywhere. Tailoring. Multiple moats going into your cooldowns. Multiple moats going into the cooldown cloth. 4 moats of light. 4 moats of the wild magics. I would expect the economy to actually function very much like Dragonflight. Probably more so like Dragonflight than The War Within. I suspect quite quickly a lot of base materials will get relatively cheap because the bottleneck, the material that's the rarest, the material that's the hardest to get, the material that's the most expensive, will probably be the moats. Because whereas herbs are used in alchemy and inscription, and ore is used in blacksmithing and jewel crafting and engineering, moats are used in everything. Which means people farming will focus on farming the moats because they will sell like hotcakes and they will sell to everybody. And all the more so, they will sell in quite big chunks. On days where we get a spark, for example, you will see big vicious resets happening on the moats. Because basically every piece of endgame gear is using 5 to 20 moats. And these are materials that will be bought by people looking to place the orders. They won't be being bought by the crafters, but you can bet your ass every time we have Spark Week, moats will get hoovered up, reset, tripled in price for the Tuesday, Wednesday Spark Day, for sure. It's because the system is so much more straightforward now. It's going to be far more easy to predict what's going to happen. Spell threads could be good for concentration, though. There's a lot of room to move in those. You've got shards that have quality. You've got a Carno Weave that has quality. Petrified Root doesn't have quality, but feels to me like a basic delve material. Which, unless it goes into anything that's considered a consumable, this will be quite cheap quite quickly. Moats, we've already discussed, will be a bit of a bottleneck material all over the place. Embroidery floss is just a vendor material, so nobody cares. But a Carno Weave bolts, obviously there's room for quality improvements on those. There's room for there to be a price difference there, times 8. There's room for there to be a price difference there, times 12. There's 25 mats there, 26 mats. So that's... Spell threads might not be terrible for concentration. Much better than they are currently. Has anybody got retail open? Has anybody got tailoring open? Can anybody quickly tell me how many materials are used in spell threads? Right now, 26 feels like plenty. It's like 8 materials or something that goes into making a spell thread right now with tailoring. Which is also why they're dog shit for concentration, because quality 2 and quality 3 mats are basically the same price. Tailoring disenchanting still a thing? Does tailoring have a daily cooldown like the War Within? Yes. These Sunfire bolts and Arcano Weave bolts are the cooldown bolts. Can the moats be farmed from mobs like in Dragonflight? That I don't know. I've not done enough Outer World exploration to have found any via killing mobs. I've only actually tested 2 of the 4 zones. And even then, I've not tested like in great detail. There might be, but also, even if they can be farmed from mobs, you're probably not going to be able to hyperspawn them because they've changed the rule. They've changed the loot drop rules. They changed them early in the War Within. Moats are used in everything, meaning everybody will try and get them and make it kind of plummet. Why would it plummet. It'll be what's referred to as a bottleneck material. That phrase is used because it's the thing that will make the biggest difference to the crafting cost, right? So if moats become the thing that moats being used in every single profession means every single crafter is fighting over getting them at the best price. And so that means the supply of them just from 2 gathering professions has to supplement all 8 crafting professions, meaning there's a strong chance that the supply of moats will not match the demand from crafters to buy them, which is why it becomes the bottleneck. It becomes the thing that's, if you can get it at the cheapest price, you win. The rest of the materials will be far more abundant. So like your basic ore, your basic herbs, for example, will be in way more of a supply. You can hyperspawn, the drops just will stop after 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you're even if moats do drop from mobs, you won't be able to like perma farm them for like an hour. If you're doing a world quest, you'll kill all of them in the zone to get a few quick and easy moats, but you won't be able to like specifically farm for them for like hours on end. Can't everybody get it by killing mobs though? And from treasure chests, exact? Yeah, I mean that's the point. The whole point of the system is that it's designed so that a handful of farmers can't have 90% of the market on them. It means that anybody out doing world quests will get 1 or 2, but those 1 or 2 will then be worth a lot more because what often happens is that the supply of things run out very quickly, especially at the beginning of an expansion. This is one of the core reasons why the start of an expansion is really good for goal making, because there's way more people that want shit than there are people that are willing to go out and farm it. That's why prices are high in Season 1. Everybody wants everything, and nobody wants to spend time going out and getting it. That means the people that do spend time going out and get it have the luxury of charging a premium for it, because everybody wants it. And it's why in Season 3, it's the opposite way around. In Season 3... nobody wants anything anymore because it's the end of expansion. Everybody's done it. Nobody wants anything, but everybody wants to make gold all of a sudden. And so the supply of everything is significantly higher than the amount of people that want it, and so prices tank. Now, obviously, if every single man and their dog decides to run a herbalism and mining character, then there'll be plenty of supply. But in Season 1, that just doesn't happen. People would much rather level characters, run the new delves, run the new dungeons, complete the world quests for their rep, go do the Mythic Plus dungeons, go defeat the new raid. You know, there are so many shiny things that players want to do at the beginning of an expansion that pushes, you know, farming for hours for materials to a very low priority for a lot of people. Hence why Season 1 is good for goal making. Season 3, not so much. Not so much. If skinners can get moats from mobs, skinning 2x4 farming will become S tier. Skinning, I can... let me jump onto the skinning character. For one, it's been a while since I had a look at it. And 2, it might be worth actually boosting this character to level 90. To be able to test some of this. Although I have a feeling when we go from alpha to beta, they do a character wipe. Because they actually use a different client for the beta than they do alpha. Or they have done. Don't know if they're going to do the same. Yo, Mr. Goldson, welcome in. Thank you very much for the raid. I appreciate that. I got the alert, but it didn't go off in my ears. Didn't go off in my ears for some reason. Thank you very much for that, my man. I appreciate that. Hope you had a good stream. You are absolutely smashing it with your concentration ults. Who would have thought, right? Persistence pays off. Good stuff, good stuff. Let's have a little look at skinning real quickly. Turned up just at the right time, by the way. Turned up just at the right time. I found Mr. Goldson. I first found Mr. Goldson from his skinning video in The War Within. Skinning has... Where is it? Diffusers. These things, look. Throw the diffusing device at the targeted skinnable creature to infuse it with light bloom energy, causing you to receive additional motes of light when skinning them. Now, the question for me is are these gonna, like, surely the fact that they take motes to make in the first place surely means that if you spend 2 motes of light to infuse a mob with a light bloom diffuser, surely it means it has to give you more than 2 motes when you skin it, right? Surely. Or it's a completely dead system. You have to use motes to make motes, apparently. Now, I would imagine... I didn't look at this in huge amounts of detail. I would imagine that speccing into it starts to make a difference. Improve your dexterity, gaining +1 deafness while skinning. Plus you learn the light bloom diffuser. The maximum amount of extra reagents you can yield from diffusers becomes increased. Learn the wild diffuser. Maximum amount of extra reagents you can yield from diffusers increased. Primal diffuser. Extra reagents from increased again. Void diffuser. So you're going to have to put 30 points in before you can even farm void motes. The maximum amount of extra reagents you can yield from diffusers is increased. So let's assume that it only gives you 2 to begin with. You put 2 in, you maybe get 2 out. So that's +1 is 3. Plus another one, which is 4. Plus another one, which is 5. Plus another one, which is 6. And then it lifts the floor, the minimum amount of extra reagents you can yield. So this probably gives you a 1 to 6 for skinning. And the ability to defuse mobs to cherry pick which motes you want. And then this probably makes it a 2 to 6, I would imagine. Would be my guess on the maths there. So basically, until you are running the risk as a skinner. Well, it's probably gamba, isn't it, really? It's a little bit gamba that at the very beginning, you're going to have to put... Your diffusers are going to be shit, basically. They're going to cost you 2 to use the diffuser, and it's only going to give you between 1 and 2, maybe 1 and 3. So it's real gamba at the beginning, whether you actually make a profit off diffusing. By the time you've put your full 40 points in here, you might be looking at 2 to 6 motes per diffuser used, meaning you are guaranteed to win every time you use a diffuser. And you will probably then also simultaneously, as a skinner, want to do something to improve your resourcefulness and multi-craft, so that crafting your diffusers, which are bind on pickup, you are going to have to craft these yourself. You're going to want to stack your resourcefulness and multi-craft to reduce your mote per diffuser cost. So it's a real... This is going to be a real... must put a shitload of points in this early on. I cannot... You've heard it here first. I cannot see any reason to put any points anywhere in skinning other than here. Because basic bitch leather is going to be so cheap, so fast. The only other one that would be useful would be if you're it would be the trophy taker, where you're trying to get the, I can't show you them, the majestic things. Your superb beast fang, basically, right? There's 3 new superb beast fangs with skinning. You might want to put points into getting those more effectively, but I really can't see there being much value putting points into leather or scales, because they're markets that are going to tank really quickly. With moats being such a thing that you are absolutely going to want, dedicated diffuser, whilst also speccing as aggressively as you can into getting more. Is there a node in skinning that gives you more? Because it's a skinning profession, there isn't a node that gives you resourcefulness and multi-craft and stuff. So this actually is this is going to be your ability to craft these more effectively is heavily weighted on your profession tools and accessories. You're going to want a skinning tool, but your skinning tools and accessories are going to give you deafness and shit. Where'd you get multi-craft and resourcefulness as a skinner from? I don't even know. I haven't worked that out. Either way, you're going to want as much of it as you can get. Here we go. Majestic Harandir lure. Place the bait luring the renowned beast specific to Harandar. A bait made to lure a majestic beast out of hiding. Well, there's your use for fish, by the way. Ominous octopus. Fungal skin pike and tender lumifin. Gore guppy. For the baiting, and then a grand beast lure. A bait made to lure the fiercest of majestic beasts out of hiding. Oh, I wonder if the majestic beast hides only come from these ones, which will make your null void fish the most expensive fish, for sure. Because if these are the ones that when you skin a beast you get your majestic stuff, maybe guaranteed or a high chance. Once again, like I've said a few times, none of this is actually really that testable at the moment because we haven't got cheap vendors to get access to quick and easy skinning knowledge. I leveled up skinning to 100 without getting... Oh no, I lie. I got 1 fine void tempered hide. These are the 6 per week thing again. 6 per week. Same sort of system for knowledge points. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go do skinning on the alpha just to get 10 knowledge points. In Dragonflight, you could get stomachs, which had some chance to give you a disenchantable item to get purple crystals. I don't think it was good, though. I mean, in Season 1, if Dark Moon trinkets are expensive again, any source of epics whatsoever becomes very valuable. But it depends. If Dark Moon trinkets go back to their old way of being valuable, then something like that has room. If Dark Moon trinkets end up being 150 gold a piece again, then you don't need anything else really. Looks like you have to be a scribe to turn the 8 cards into a deck. Does it? We were looking at inscription earlier. That could be an interesting change. Can't see why they would do that, but sure. Like I said, it definitely feels like they're trying to make Dark Moon cards more of a thing. I've not tested enough delves to know if anything really interesting comes from them. There is one item that I did find in a delve that I haven't found anywhere else. I think it was called the Petrified Root. It's a basic reagent that's used in a few things here and there. But I haven't been able to confirm anything else. What the is that? Thalassian essence of the fair. How and where did you get the impression that cards can only be combined by a scribe? Is that what this inscribed recipe is meant to be? To craft Dark Moon oddities. But the transcribing previously was about turning one card type into another. So transcribing 2 blood uses hunt, void, or rot. The transcribing is about turning, we have this already, turning one set into a card of another set. So hence why you have the 4 different ones. You can transcribe 2 void, transcribe 2 rot. Inscribing, though, is something new. But then that's using this Thalassian essence of the fair. I wonder if this process of transcribing cards, taking one type, turning it into another, also might create this Thalassian essence of the fair. Actually crafting the base trinkets, though, does seem to require... I mean, these are the end trinkets. Use the sparks. That might not change, because this is the Dark Moon Dominion hunt. Much like what we have today, you might still be able to take the ace through to the 8 to complete the hunt set, which will make the basic card, which is what everybody disenchants now. And currently you need the basic card to make the Dominion, the Spark version of it, which isn't here right now. But a lot of this feels like it doesn't work properly yet, or hasn't quite been figured out 100% yet. There's no tooltips for half of this stuff, for example. Spectre for Dark Moon curiosities. Improve your understanding of the particular curiosities surrounding the Dark Moon cards of Midnight. Gain 1 skill per point when crafting all wonders associated with Dark Moon. Gain 5 skill when crafting Dark Moon sigils and dominions. on learning, and then you choose to specialize into Rot. Improve your understanding of the Dark Moon card Rot. Gain 1 skill when crafting Dark Moon sigils and dominions. Learn to inscribe Dark Moon card Rot. Doesn't tell you what inscribing Dark Moon card Rot means. Maybe it is. Maybe you do have to be a scribe. It's weird that the only material for this is a Thalassian essence of the fair right now. No idea where that comes from. Learn to transcribe Dark Moon card Rot. You learn the inscribe straight away. You then later learn the transcribe. Transcribing is allowing you to take one card from one set and turn it into a card of another set at random. So what does inscribing do? Improve your ability to harness the domain of Rot into equipable dominions. Learn to craft the Dark Moon Dominion Rot. You can't actually make the Spark variant of the trinkets until you're quite well specialized. Either way, however this actually ends up working, it's clear that they're trying to put more effort into Dark Moon cards somehow. There's nothing in this tree, though, that states that you have to be a scribe to get Dark Moon cards. But I can also state that I have not found a single Dark Moon card whilst playing on the alpha so far. But I haven't at any point spent time playing as a character who is a scribe. And as we very quickly found out at the beginning of the War Within, Dark Moon cards drop like absolute candy if you are a scribe. But nobody else gets them. I can't confirm that that's still the same. And each 4 of these branches are basically copy-paste of each other, but for the 4 different card types. There's definitely more to it, though. There's definitely a lot more to Dark Moon this time round. This is going to be a fun one in the beta to try and find out where the actual base cards come from. Is it only scribes? Are they going to be super piss easy to get if you are a scribe? It would be interesting if you have to spend spec points in the Dark Moon tree to be able to even turn cards into trinkets. That's what this means, making the basic Dark Moon card Rot. Where's this, believe it or not, is something where using Wowhead might actually be useful. Is there any... WowDB actually might be better. Is there a added in expansion midnight? So we got standard Darkmoon decks. Darkmoon deck, Ascension Blood Hunt. Okay. These are not added in expansion midnight, are they? Why does that filter not work? Why is it added all Darkmoon cards ever made? Darkmoon deck Ysera? Why has it got all the old ones? Added in patch 12.0. Okay, still yet more confused, but sure. Oh no, that makes sense actually. Darkmoon decks, the 4 basic Darkmoon decks, and then the Darkmoon Dominion version, which is your final Spark version of it. This will be your bind on equip, craft up jobby. Ace of Blood, Hunt, Rot, Void. Combine them to complete. It says combine the Ace through to the 8 of Void to complete the set. I'm not sure I'm convinced that it's only scribes that can do that. Creates the standard Darkmoon deck, which is bind on equip. This is augmented by the Darkmoon Sigil Blood. Is then a reagent for making the Blood deck. Combine the Ace through to the 8. One of each. Stacks up to 1,000. Yeah, I'm not convinced there's any requirement for scribes to do this. I still think anybody can buy the basic cards. Still a question to who can get the basic cards though. It doesn't specifically say that, you know, put points in this to learn how to make, you know, to learn to find cards. Can't remember if it said that in Dragonflight or not, in the War Within or not. I haven't got Kazolgar to compare against here. Either way, they're definitely trying something with Darkmoon, making it its whole entire tree, and having transcribing and inscribing, whatever the difference ends up. Transcribing seems to be quite clear. It seems to be the same as taking one card from one type and turning it into another card of the other type. This was dead on arrival in the War Within because there was also an additional cost of doing this, wasn't there? It required an additional item. I don't know what it took, but it taking anything basically meant it was useless. Poppy is very asleep right now. She had a busy weekend. She had a sleepover at sister-in-law's house Saturday. Yeah, so if transcribing is taking one card from a set and turning it into another card from another set, There was some shenanigans with this going into the War Within, which meant that you could basically do this an unlimited amount. Which they had to hotfix out. I can't remember what the shenanigans with it was, but at one point it was making more cards than you were putting in or something. You would put one card in, it would spit 2 cards out or something. Which was clearly not going to work. I can't remember how they hotfixed it, but it all became completely null and void when Dark Moon cards dropped like candy. But this inscribing is intriguing, using this random reagent. Thalassian Essence of the Fair. Is there any info on that anywhere? Icon, ever burning ignition, blue, rest in peace. No comments or info or anything on it so far. I've not stumbled across this before, so I don't know where this comes from. A boisterous mote of energy used by scribes to craft various Dark Moon oddities. Probably farmed for in some way, shape or form. Question marks on where though. What if it is linked to the Dark Moon Fair that only turns up once every 4 weeks? That would be fun, wouldn't it? That'd be fun in Season 1. You could only acquire these during the Dark Moon Fair week. That'd be interesting. Yeah, no. That's a real homage to the old school way of Dark Moon card for sure. You'd only turn the trinkets in whilst the fair's up. Oh, Thalassian Songwater. What was it called? Thalassian something or other with the something or other? Essence. Genuinely only used so far in these 4 inscribed recipes. I mean, it could very well be that Dark Moon cards don't drop in the wild. It could be that scribes have to create them once again, which I wouldn't object to, but it does obviously mean they create them from a reagent that is farmed for, so it's just an extra step in the process. I mean, what if this comes from milling again? What if this Thalassian Essence of the Fair ends up being a milling, a rare 1% milling thing again? It used to be that you'd craft a shitload, you'd mill a shitload, and then you'd make inks, and then you would turn those inks into Dark Moon cards. You know, there was the whole process way back in the day. What if Dark Moon cards, Ace through to 8, don't drop in the wild, and this is actually the way you make them? You acquire as many of these Thalassian Essence of the Fairs as you possibly can get your hands on, and then scribes craft the Ace through till 8. And they get to choose which deck they make, probably based upon which one they've spec'd into. Because you have to go... When did you learn that inscribe? Learn to inscribe Dark Moon card rot. You learn it on specialization of the different sub-spec. So maybe Ace through till 8 don't drop in the wild. Maybe it's this thing that drops in the wild, somehow, from somewhere. And then it's scribes that make the Ace through till 8 themselves. And they have to make it gamba, right? You're obviously the law of averages. you should get an equal number of ace through till 8 eventually. If you craft like 800 of these, you'll get probably 100 decks worth. But RNG will fuck you. But it would be interesting if you could cherry pick which cards you then make. Because there'd be no reason then. There'd be weirdly no reason for the transcribing. Unless the ace through till 8 can also be then bought and sold and traded on the auction house. Meaning some people might buy the cheap cards, transcribe them into the more expensive cards, and then you would use your essences to transcribe the higher value cards. But then where would the cheaper cards come from to do the transcribe? Maybe it's designed to be a circular system that balances out the cost of all of the cards. If you can choose what you craft and where, you'd be mad to ever not craft the thing that's worth the most. And when everybody crafts the thing that's worth the most, it very quickly becomes the thing that's worth the least because of oversupply. And it just, you know, sort of naturally balances the price of them all. Which we know is pointless because we know the actual demand for the end trinkets is always higher for the DPS ones. And the tank and the healer ones people usually don't care about as much. Or if there's one that sits on a BIS list, then everybody wants that one. Definitely stuff to figure out with this. Definitely more stuff to figure out. Some, this is beta stuff, you know. Once we've got access to the whole scenario, once we've got access to some cheap vendors to poke around in a bit more detail. But it definitely feels like they've tried something, or they're trying something. Subtly different, but not by much. Boys and girls, I'm hungry though. I'm going to leave it there for today. I know we didn't spend all that long on the alpha today. I spent most of the stream just pottering around, tinkering around, doing some stuff. But that's kind of the direction that we're in at the moment. Over the next couple of days, I'm probably going to spend a bit of time on the alpha, just sort of exploring the zones and stuff in a bit more detail. I do have access now to all 4 zones and can sort of simulate a proper expansion experience in terms of creating a character, leveling them through the zones, doing the campaign. End game is also unlocked. There's this abundance system that I really think I need to go pay attention to, because there seems to be some sort of indications that this abundance thing is a level 90 thing where there might be options to gather a lot of materials on the quick and easy, but with a limit. I don't know. We need to figure out what this abundance questline and feature is. We need to test out Prey in a bit more details. There's some stuff to do for sure. Beta next week with the profession updates. That'll probably answer a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, once we roll into beta in like 8 days' time, once we roll into beta, hopefully beta will launch with the test vendors, meaning we can have an unlimited supply of materials to sort of poke around with stuff. The only answers you don't get in the beta is where does everything come from. It's great when you get the cheap vendors, but it doesn't actually teach you that, oh, this material comes from here. Oh, that's going to be rare. That's going to be hard to get. That's going to be expensive. This is stuff you still have to sort of try and figure out. But at least when it comes to poking around, leveling the professions, getting your profession tools, seeing how recipe difficulty feels, that is all stuff you can start to do in the beta. So yeah. It will start to shape soon. We'll get there. We'll get there. But today, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, boys and girls, for joining today. I've appreciated your time. We will be back again, if not tomorrow, but Wednesday. Where we will try some stuff. I'm going to I'm going to repay the favor. Sammy raided us the other day, so we're gonna rate it as, assuming, of course, that he's not about to go offline himself. He's surprise, surprise, doing some raiding. I'm gonna send you over. He's doing some 11.2 stuff right now. Go say hi. Send him some love. He raided into us the other day, so I'll return the favor. Yeah, thank you for joining, boys and girls. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me set the raid up. Let's get this on the go. But boys and girls, yes, thank you very much. I will see you in the next day or two. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.